Teresa, and I'm so happy to have you here this evening. I'm happy to be here this evening. We'll give it just a few minutes for some folks to come into the live stream and see where we're going today. While I'm doing that, I do want to let you know, though, I have heard you. I have heard you. I have heard you. Number one, all except for Antoine, I have completed all of the readings that I had backlogged. So if you feel like I owe you a reading still and you haven't received it, please email me again, because some kind of way the email slipped through the cracks. All except for Sage E. I did do your email, Sage. I did your reading. I don't have an email for it. So definitely let me know there. And then there was one other one, Scanned by Lauren, never gave me an email either, so I couldn't get that one to her. But other than that, I'm caught up except for Antoine, and his will be happening this evening. Let's see. Hey, Miss Yates. I have emailed that thing to you. I can't even tell you how many times. I know if I leave this, it's probably going to mess up my live stream. I don't think I can leave off of this page, but I emailed it again before I went into this. You gave me an Outlook email address, right? I've emailed it like 2 or 3 times to the Gmail address that you initially mailed me on, and I turned around and emailed it to the Outlook address today. Can you check your Outlook and check your spam, and please let me know if you got it, because I sent it to, it was first name, last name 01 at Outlook, correct? But I have emailed that. I emailed it to you. It'll be a hot link inside of that email, and you might want to check your spam. Oh, good, Shawty. I am so glad. I don't know why Amanda can't get hers. I have been trying for days now. I'm not sure what the deal is with that. I've got I think 2 other people that haven't opened their link either. Like I said, I haven't heard from. You said type in my email in the search in case it's hidden. That could be. I don't know what the deal is with Outlook. Or at first, like I said, I sent it back as a part of the conversation thread to the initial Gmail email that she sent me, but for some reason she said she didn't get it, so I sent it again, and she said she still didn't get it, so she gave me an Outlook, and I sent it there too. But I'm concerned because it does show that it's been looked at. I did wind up doing a long reading for her. I broke it up into 2 parts, and both of those parts have had views, and I haven't sent the emails to anybody else, and I didn't go back in and look at them either. So they had 0 views on them, and I leave it that way until y'all get a chance to watch them. Even if I feel like there's something I want to go back and look at, I wait until after you watched it, and one of them is showing 2 views, and part 2 is showing 3 views on that reading. Let me see the other ones. Who else was it? I think Headlines, Felicia with Headlines with a Voice. Your email is not showing view yet. I'm not sure if you're in the room right now. If Sage E is in the room, please say something, because I haven't seen yours I don't have an email address for you, my dear. You said you wanted the reading, and I did it about 5 or 6 days ago, but I don't have an email address to send it to. Skinned by Lauren, I haven't done your reading yet because you never gave me an email address to send it to. So if you're in the room, please let me know that as well. And like I said, Antoine, I got Spirit kind of nudged me to do something a little different with you. So your reading will be happening this tonight or in the morning. I will be online tomorrow. I think I'm going to start doing Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday for the evening lives. I may come on more than that, but I know y'all got other lives and stuff too. You got a life, individual life. So I wasn't going to try to come on every single night live, but we could have the spiritual conversations like maybe Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, something like that. And then Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, I'm going to do daytime tarot. Hey, Miss Valerie, how are you? Welcome, welcome. Also, I got a little bit sidetracked. We are still going to go into the 12th planet, but I heard you, and I think Spirit kind of poked me. Goodbye. If you feel it's demonic, leave, third eye. That's all you got to do. You don't even know what we're talking about yet. You have no idea what we're talking about. I've only been on this live for 5 minutes. You have, if you, absolutely, if you're going to come at me like that, your belief in the third eye is demonic then. That part. Hey, Antoine. I hope you heard what I was saying, my love. I ran out of time trying to get this last one. I had a paid reading that I needed to get uploaded, and I gotta do some stuff that's a really book intensive reading for you, but it'll happen either tonight or in the morning. Hey, Farsight 7, welcome in, welcome in. But back to what I was saying, I put a pin in the 12th planet just for a little bit. It'll resume this week, but over the past yesterday or last night, I kept falling asleep on it because it's a 3.5 hour listen. But Spirit kind of poked me to go ahead and get into the book of Enoch. So we will be doing the book of Enoch this week. I did find a narration that has the printed version out too. I was concerned because I don't have a copy of the Apocrypha. It was hidden. Awesome. Had me worried. I'm just concerned that somebody else has seen it that wasn't supposed to see it, because I try to be very careful in checking who I'm sending what to make sure I don't confuse myself when I'm sending them. But good, as long as you got it, that's all that matters. And if Robin Williams Daniels is in the room, yours has been emailed to you as well today. Please check your email and see if it pops up. But yeah, I did find a narration of the book of Enoch that has the printed version to follow along with, and we can't do that on the channel, but it'll give me something to look at. I will probably, because it is, like I said, the reading of that book is 3.5 hours long. I will not try to put that on one video. I'll break it up into 3 parts, because there is some stuff when it gets into Enoch's the visions he saw, or was it the parables? I think it was in the second. It's in the second part though. There was some stuff that came out that really hit my head in meditation when I was listening to the first part. The main thing I got from the first part was just like I was saying before, all angels ain't good angels, y'all. Or I don't want to say good or bad, because we're not going to have that discussion. With the path we're on, all angels ain't the angels you want to be following. For example, Barakiel is an angel name that I've been hearing come up, and all the rest of that stuff. People talking about calling on Barakiel. Barakiel was one of the watchers. There are several that are named in the first part of the book of Enoch. They were their own team, Yahweh, Jehovah, Marduk, all of that. They are not with light. Now, Michael, Raphael, Gabriel, Uriel, absolutely. Those are all team Enki all day. Hey, Loner Beats, how are you? Oh, you was waiting for me? I'm so sorry, my love. I am so sorry. Yeah, yesterday I couldn't do it. I was trying. I'm getting it together though. I'm back on the fast as of today. So I know in the next few days my energy is gonna flag first, and then it'll ramp back up. I'm very interested to see when I get past day 3 on the fast this go around, where my energy and meditations go. Because I'm telling you, in the past, anytime I get past like day 4 or 5-ish, things start getting a little weird. Last time I did that though and got past day 5, I was actually using cannabis, and that was one of the things that kind of freaked me out so bad it made me stop, because I was getting a little too connected at that time. I was scared of where what meditations were going. I'm not using anything now other than vitamins and supplements, but yeah. I use like I have some like the clear protein collagen drinks and some protein powders if I really really get tempted. I got some a bag of vanilla protein powder and a tin of chocolate. And I also have some fruit flavor stuff. I got like some pineapple juice powder, watermelon juice powder, so I can make myself some basically non-caloric drinks. So still, to enhance the water. And I also sometimes put I take spirulina in capsule form. I don't put it in no juice, but I have like spirulina as well. I got a bunch of different supplements, as far as pill form. Um, what am I thinking? I can't even think of it now. Oh, I got a bunch of stuff. That's all I'm gonna say. Hey, Shagan, how are you? But yeah, I'm not trying to go 40 days with absolutely nothing because first off, I understand that's part of what has held me up in the past. When I get lazy about taking my supplements, I've been doing intermittent fasting off and on for so long that between that and poor diet, I am vitamin and mineral deficient in several things, and my eyes will start twitching. And if I go long enough, it'll start messing with the rhythm of my heart. I have to start supplementing with like magnesium, potassium, my vitamin D, that kind of stuff. So yeah, I will be doing a supplemented fast, but it just won't be solid food and stuff like that. Yeah, I think Enki will be all right with that. You know what I mean? Especially if I'm only doing the smoothies and stuff like every other day or every third day, something like that. I'm doing well. I'm doing very well, thank you. Um, oh, but yeah, like I was saying in the first part of the book of Enoch, they were naming several of them. And you know what? The one thing I love about going into the apocryphal text, and especially now since we have gone into the lost book of Enki, it's really putting in perspective to me a lot of the terms that we've been used. We think of angels as these flying, invisible, da 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 da, all, and they may be some of that or all of that. Huh? Oh, when you message no, when you messaged me on 813, I thought you was just you were checking on your reading. I didn't know that you were wanting a second reading. Okay, because you did get both parts of the first one though, right? It was like an hour for the first one and like an hour and 20 minutes or something for the second part. Okay, I'll email you later to find out what I'm looking for on the second one because I didn't know that I was supposed to be doing something additional. So yeah, I'll do it tomorrow. Hey, Precious, how are you? Okay, okay, all righty. I will do that. I'll get on it tomorrow. Hey, Raji, how are you? Good, good, good. Um, but back to what I was saying, as far as like we look at the angels and stuff, and when I was hearing the different names being read in that first part, and then like listening to what some of the things that the different ones did. I mean, I've always known that Gabriel was supposed to be the right hand of God, but again, you got to remember in the scriptures where it says God, it should be Elohim, the powerful ones. And at the time when I was learning about Gabriel and was told he's I think he's supposed to be God's mouthpiece or something. But which God? That's what we have to come to understand. And Gabriel is Team Enki all day, as is Michael, as is Raphael, um, Uriel. Yeah. But when it came down to ones like Barakiel and I think it was Thuziel and somebody, it was a lot of the other L's. And Cody, that's not true. If you read your Bible, if you actually read in your Bible, y'all don't have to get rid of him just yet, because I want to say something to him. If he start getting off the chain, you can get rid of him. But Cody, use your power of reasoning, my love. If there was only one true God, then why in the world would he need to tell you that he'll have no other gods before him? Obviously, that means there's more than one, because Yeshua told the Jews directly in John chapter 8 that they were not worshiping the Father who sent him, that they were worshiping their father, the devil. Go look it up, brother. You've been hoodwinked and bamboozled. No, sir. You know what? And that's the devil's greatest tool is his anonymity. If you go and read the text that the Bible text was taken from, the ones that are thousands of years older than the Bible texts, they will tell you, if you trace back Yahweh and Jehovah, that's Yahweh and Jehovah is the same being, but he's also been Dionysus, Beelzebub, Yah, uh, y'all the Baal, Odin, Zeus, all of those things. He's been a whole lot of different names, but his very first title when he got here, his name was Enlil, you Lord of the Command. His second title when he got here was Satan of the Eden. Humanity has been hoodwinked and bamboozled, my dear. We have been tricked into worshiping the devil for 2,500 years. Go do your homework before you come in here with that. I'm so sorry to tell you. I was I was floored, bamboozled, angry, hurt, boohoo crying, and some more stuff when I figured it out too. But I've been reading the Bible since I was 3 years old, and I've been doing my homework to really find out what was going on for about the last 10 or 15 years. It ain't what you think it is, my love. I promise you. That's the only reason I'm on here saying the things that I'm saying, to help people come to understand the ways that we've been lied to and bamboozled. Hey, Unique, what's up, my love? Hey, Sizey, welcome, welcome from Johannesburg. Wonderful. Again, you know what? Now y'all can get rid of them, because you can't argue with somebody that will not hear. There are none so blind as he who will not see. Keep thinking that. Yeshua didn't tell you he was God anyway. He told you he wasn't. I have no idea, Dumby. I'm not here to play. I'm not a fortune teller. I am a tarot reader by day, but right now I'm a spiritual teacher by evening. I'm not doing guess. Whoever knows your secret, you're going to have to take that up with somebody else, baby. I'm so sorry. If you want a private reading, you can email me at modernmysticmessages@gmail.com, and you can make your payment on Buy Me a Coffee. That's what you can do. Hey, Kwasu, how are you? Or Kasu, I'm sorry. And if you believe God is what you think it is, how could God not know your secrets? In fact, I believe that. I don't believe God is what Christianity done told us, but guess what? Lord Enki most certainly can read my mind if he chooses to. If he can put a thought in my mind, you think he can't see a thought that's already in there? We have clairaudient conversations all the time, so I know he knows what's in my mind and in my heart. The other part of the book of Enoch that I really wanted to get into, I mean, there's a lot of stuff in there. It's a lot to unpack. And part of the book of Enoch is kind of scary and confusing. And we're not going to get into trying to decipher all of the parables and the other stuff that's in there. I'm going to read it, but, we'll go through whatever spirit kind of moves me to look at. But in the second part, it was a correlation. Something was coming to me. I'm gonna have to listen to it again to get. I should have been taking notes, but I was half asleep because I was just like listening. But it was talking about the Son of Man, and it really further let me see the correlation between Thoth as the Son of Man and Yeshua as the Son of Man. That very likely them two sons of man could very well be the same being, especially if you consider who the Elohim was, that, like I said, that Gabriel and Michael and Raphael and all of them were working for and providing messages for and kind of working as intercessors for. And when you consider the way the Watchers were being dealt with for doing what they were supposed to do. By Sonic Adventures, you on some nonsense, and you're not coming up in here with that. Don't even go there. I am very much about Yeshua, but I'm not about no Christian proselytizing because you've been lied to, my love. You don't know what you're talking about, and I'm not finna argue with you. But yeah, it's real interesting. Like I said, looking at the apocryphal text, I really understand why a lot of them were taken out of the mainstream scriptures, because it's one of them situations where this and that can't be true. If the apocryphal texts are to be believed, then most of the stuff that they left behind doesn't hold water, not in the way they're trying to make it hold water. The apocryphal texts give way too much context to what was happening that agrees with the Anunnaki and Akkadian and Sumerian text, but it don't agree with the Christian lie. That's the problem. Hey, Niana, how are you? Welcome, welcome. Good to have you in here. But yeah, it really helped me understand too. Like, people want to talk about angels and demons. What we would consider demons are basically the watchers who willfully made those decisions, who willfully follow Yahweh, El, Allah, Jehovah, whatever you choose to call them, that are keeping a bunch of confusion going because they intentionally gave humanity information that they knew we were not supposed to have yet. Dark magic and certain, like I say, spell casting, and even when now they talk about the whole idea of makeup, and there's a lot of different things that were given that in and of itself may not have necessarily been bad per se, but the way they were being used and at the point in our consciousness development that they were introduced, we weren't supposed to have that information, and the watchers knew it, and they gave it to us anyway, and it caused a problem. Hey, Guardian, how are you? Welcome, welcome. Hey, Warrior Above, Within, Without, and Tristan, welcome. Everybody, welcome, welcome. So, yeah, like I said, we're going to get on into it. I was going to try to wait, but it's too long to wait. And I think what I'm going to have to do, because the Sitchin work is so long and so, like, one chapter is like 50 pages. So I definitely can't read the whole chapter, but I was reading through to highlight it, and I'll go back through it. But I think I'll intersperse the apocryphal text. So we may do the 12th planet like 3 days a week, and then 2 days out of the week focus on one of the apocryphal books as well. Hey, Shawty Kai, awesome. Good, good, good. Oh, hey, Burhan. Then thank you. I appreciate you. Lunar Beats, well, you talking about that person, whoever that was in here proselytizing? Yeah, they mean well. You can't, honestly, I wish I could have an opportunity to sit and actually talk to them, but they won't listen. They're too indoctrinated in the programming. You literally have to get to a point where you begin to wake up in the matrix a little bit and accept that something isn't right before you can even begin to have your spiritual belief system rearranged or actually look at it a little bit. And you know what is so funny to me though? Because people are very willing at this point in time, almost anybody you talk to on the street is willing to admit that the government hides things from us, that they don't always have our best interests at heart, in America at least. Most people are willing to accept that big pharma does not tell us the truth always, and that they are not always operating in our best interest. They have comedians that's been a long-standing joke about the fine print on all of them drug commercials and stuff. We get that part. Most people understand that the governments and big pharma and industry don't necessarily have our best interest at heart, don't necessarily tell us the truth about everything. We're having all kinds of information coming out the woodwork about the way Our history has been rewritten, and we've been directly lied to about our modern history, even in the United States, just from the inception of this country moving forward. And they'll accept that all day. But for some reason, they think that religion done told them the 100% absolute truth the whole time, even though religion has been estranged bedfellows with politics ever since. Why would they feel like politicians are dirty, crooked liars, but the priests and the pastors are straight? Oh, thank you, Reach for the Sky. Hey, Timu all day, boo. I am Team Timu. But yeah, that's the part that always fascinated me. Why is it that you think that the government is lying to you, politics is lying to you, the media is lying to you, big pharma and big industry is lying to you, but the church is telling you the truth? Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. People complain about that. That is coffee shop talk all day. Everybody can accept that. We see it. We see the corruption. We know we're being lied to, and they're beginning to fall out the woodworks, telling the truth. They telling people are blowing the whistle on big pharma. They blowing the whistle on government. They blowing the whistle on commerce, all of that. But when somebody come to blow the whistle on religion, then they want to tell me off and tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm like, why do you think they're not lying too? I'm good, Michael Blucker. How are you? And y'all, I know y'all saw that the screen jump a little bit. That's a confirmation, I guess. I'm gonna figure out what's causing that one of these days because I'm. Did it? Yeah, I'm not touching that at all, so I have no idea. Exactly, it's the indoctrination. And again, even that, I get it because I had to break away also. But if you think about it, as a child, most of us, unless you got really toxic parents, like super toxic parents, most of us, when we're young, up until about the age of probably 10 or so, thought that our parents knew everything. Our mother was the most beautiful woman on the planet. Our father was the most handsome man on the planet. And everything they said out their mouth was absolutely the indisputable truth until we got a little bit older and started catching them in some of their lies. And then we realized we still love them, but we realize they're not perfect. They don't know everything and they don't always tell us the truth. So what really makes you think that they knew everything when they were busy spoon feeding you religion? What really, and I guess that's my difference is I'm willing to question stuff. Maybe it was because I was shunned by my family. I don't know. But when I look back at the fact and realize that the entire world is worshiping Yahweh based on the decision of basically three people, if you really want to count Caleb into it. Abraham chose to serve Yahweh and did a whole bunch of decreeing and whatever about it. And him and Yahweh had this whole dialogue going back and forth. He signed on for that and got lied to and got into a whole bunch of trickery and nonsense. Then Moses chose, again, Moses was a criminal on the run, y'all, for killing somebody. But for some reason, we think because he chose to align with Yahweh that the rest of the world was supposed to do the same thing. Think about it. The whole Bible story, Moses had left Egypt in fear of his life on the run for killing a temple guard. I mean, a palace guard. Even though he had grown up in the palace, he knew he was an Israelite. He was raised with all the wealth and all the privilege of an Egyptian, but he was not an Egyptian. He was an Israelite. And when he struck out in a fit of temper and killed that guard, he was on the run in fear for his life, a fugitive from the law. Why are we following the choice of a fugitive? But just because he made that choice and they wrote it in a book somewhere, then we decided that that's the be all end all and that has to be the everlasting truth. And then Joshua and Caleb came along. Joshua and Caleb was literally willing to kill 3,000 of the nation of Israel to appease this bloodthirsty God they signed on for. And then said, y'all can do what you want to. Choose this day whom you'll serve. But as for me and my household, we going to serve Yahweh. Even though he literally made us just kill 3,000 of our brothers to appease him because he was mad, having a shit fit. This is the God that humanity is chosen to align with. Why do we have to accept that that's a good choice? Especially when we see the result of it. What's the result? 2,500 years of war, famine, madness, mayhem, misogyny, all of that. Not initially. Moses did follow El. He did, Bonnie Myers. That's the point. He wasn't worshiping Yahweh at first. The nation of Israel was not worshiping Yahweh when he delivered them out of Israel. They agreed, they contracted right then and there because he pulled them out of Israel and freed them from slavery. That's when they agreed to worship him. Bye, Jackson. Have a good day and a better life. I hope you wake up and learn the truth soon. I'm trying to tell you, but you're not going to sit here and name call in this live stream. Because I'm not practicing witchcraft. Christianity is evil witchcraft. It really is. Hey, Umbolelo, how are you? Hey, Miss Pretty Lady. And Douglas M., how are you? I ain't seen you in here in a minute. Yeah. The nation of Israel was not following Yahweh. They were worshiping Marduk, maybe under the name of Moloch. Because if you recall, the first thing they did when they got out of Israel, Yahweh abandoned them at the foot of Mount Sinai. He went up into the mountain with Moses and they stayed gone for 40 days. No, we ain't Rastafari here either, because that's still worshiping Yahweh. That's the devil. Yahweh is the devil, my love. I'm so sorry. And if you got a problem with that, this might not be the channel for you, because I'm only going to tell you the truth as I've learned it to be. But the nation of Israel, when they came out of out of Egypt, Yahweh took Moses up in the mountain to give him the rule book, the law. That's why they had to go up in the mountain. They did not know how to worship Yahweh because they had not been worshiping Yahweh. They had been worshiping Moloch, the bull. That's why they made the golden calf. When Moses was gone for so long, they were like, is he even coming back? Did they gonna leave us here to die? Let us pray to the God we will worship him back in Egypt. Maybe he'll hear our prayers and come and save us. And ask Aaron to make them an image, and Aaron made them a golden calf. If they had already been ensconced in Yahweh worship, why would the priest Aaron turn around and make them a calf to go back and worship Moloch? Ain't nobody even stopped to think about that when they tell that story in church or temple or synagogue or wherever they tell it. The nation of Israel was not worshiping Yahweh at that point. No, sir, I'm not. Go do your history. The Israelites were a nomadic tribe. That's how they wound up in captivity in Egypt anyway. They met up with Yahweh out in the desert, but they were not committed to Yahweh worship. If they had been, they would have already had the law. Moses went up into Mount Sinai with Yahweh to receive the law. That was the rule book for what it took to serve Yahweh. Hey, story time, what's up? But why would he do that, son of all nations? Why would he, as a priest, why would he turn around and make them? They wanted to worship a God because they did not have the rule book yet for how to worship Yahweh. They didn't know whether Yahweh had abandoned them or not. I'm not calling his name Jah, because his name ain't, whatever you call him, whether you call him Jah, Jehovah, Allah, or Yahweh, he's still the devil according to Yeshua. So I don't have to call him none of that stuff. Levi, Israel, what you don't understand, my dear, is Christianity is full of pagan beliefs. Every single holiday that Christianity promotes is pagan. Every one of them. They don't listen at all. They really don't. They want to come in here and correct somebody, but ain't none of them did their homework. And the things they say in this stream, I can tell in one sentence they ain't did their homework. Because, like I said, if the nation of Israel was already worshiping Yahweh, they wouldn't have needed to receive the law and the 10 commandments at the foot of Mount Sinai. They would have known how to appease Yahweh. They would have known that like he told them, he is El Elyon, the destroyer. Don't get it twisted and don't make no step wrong. That's what he told Abraham, because anything you do wrong and step out of line with Yahweh will bring death on your head. Because he told them when he came down from that mountain that for making that golden calf, he was getting ready to kill every last one of them right there at the foot of the mountain. Now, if they were genuinely his people and they had been serving him, he might punish somebody, but kill them all? All? It was like, I think they said it was something like 300,000 in the nation of Israel at that point in time, or well over 100,000. And he was willing to unalive every single one of them because they didn't know how they were supposed to worship him and they got it wrong. You said he broke it because of his anger. But the thing is, my point is, son of all nations, if they had been worshiping Yahweh before, then they would not have needed the tablets. They would have already had them. Do you realize that some of the Israelites over in Ethiopia still got some of the original scrolls to this day? They saw those scrolls as sacred once they received them. They did not have them yet because they were just conscripting to get back into Yahweh worship. Abraham had started out the Yahweh train 500 years before, but they kind of fell off because he never delivered them to the promised land. He told Abraham he was going to give them the promised land, and he didn't do it. And they wound up as a nomadic nation, and they wound up back in captivity in Egypt. And then when he came back, because Yahweh had been exiled, Marduk was exiled twice, Yahweh was exiled at least once. Both of them were exiled for showing their ass and not doing what they were supposed to do. Their own Anunnaki kinfolk exiled them because they had acted so egregiously against humanity. And when Yahweh came out of exile, he did not have a people and he did not have a land. So he went and conscripted Moses to go in there and tell the nation of Israel to come back under worship, underfoot with him. And if they would become his people, that he didn't give them the land of Canaan before, but he gonna deliver them to the land of Canaan now. That the promised land, that's the land of Canaan. That's where they were supposed to be headed to. But it took 40 days up the mountain for Moses to scribe the Mosaic law. Yahweh wrote the 10 commandments on the tablets himself. They said that was from the hand of Yahweh. Whatever stylus he used, he wrote the 10 commandments himself. But the rest of the law, he had Moses act as a scribe, and it took 40 days for Moses to write all of that, which ain't unusual because Lord Enki said it took Andupsar 40 days to write the Lost Book of Enki. But when they came back down to give them the law so they could learn how to serve him, and he found them worshiping somebody else, that's when he got mad and said he was going to kill every last one of them right there at the foot of the mountain. And Joshua said, no, man, I know they upset. Tell you what, let me go over here and talk to the priest, and we're going to go ahead and take care of this ourselves. And if we punish ourselves, please don't kill us all. And between Joshua and Caleb and the Levitical priests, they put their heads together and they killed 3,000 of the nation of Israel that night right there at the foot of Mount Sinai to keep Yahweh from killing them all. But the thing is, they got the tablets back. The point is not of, and here's another part, son of all nations, what people don't realize. The books in the Bible are not put in chronological order. Job is put right smack dab in the middle of the Bible as if it happened right then. It did not. Job probably happened shortly after the Genesis story. The Psalms would have probably been somewhere around Leviticus or Deuteronomy. The church folk, when Constantine and his crew at the first council of Nicaea decided on the order that these books were going to go in, but they are not in chronological order in the scriptures. Okay. The reason they arranged them the way that they did is because they tried to tell you that story, that whole in Genesis where this one begot that one and this one begot that one, and then it comes on into Deuteronomy and there's some more begots and begots. They're trying to tell you, no, there is a rhyme and a reason to a story time. That Constantine arranged it that way because they were trying to say that those documents were creating the timeline or naming the lineage of David and thereby the lineage of Yeshua. And some of that may be true, maybe. But a lot of the stuff in there, some of that begot this one and begot that one was just because the Anunnaki were very careful record keepers. And in Genesis, they were logging the results of the Adamu breeding program when they made Adam and Eve. And then, like I said, all in Genesis chapter 5, when she listed all Enki's exploits with all of the hybrids, Kenan and Methuselah and Noah and all of them, every last one of them that's named in Genesis 5 is a hybrid, a son of Lord Enki by a human. So that's the rhyme and the reason, though, they were trying to create Yeshua's bloodline. But again, when we look at John chapter 1:1 and John 3:15, it doesn't matter what his human bloodline was because Lord Enki said, "This is my son, the beloved, whom I have approved." Damn the rest of the bloodline. If he comes straight from Enki, it don't matter what the rest of the bloodline is, right? And he directly said that twice in the Bible. They said that the heavens opened and they heard him say, "This is my son, the beloved, whom I have approved." Yahweh had already said that they couldn't be seen, but Yahweh talked behind the smoke and showed up in the burning bush and the flame and the this and the that. In Ezekiel, they showed up with the wheel within the wheel and all of that, and the spaceships and all of that. When Yeshua was baptized, they said that a vision, the Holy Spirit descended in the form of a dove, and a voice was heard from the heavens saying, "This is my son, the beloved, whom I have approved. Listen to him." And then again, during the transfiguration, after his so-called death and resurrection, before he ascended to heaven for real, there was a moment in the scriptures called the transfiguration where they said they went up on the mountain and they thought that Elijah and Moses had come back to show up, but they saw this bright light. Obviously, a spaceship then showed up. And again, they didn't physically see him, but they said that the light was so blindingly white, his clothes looked like they were glowing. The light was so bright from this vehicle that showed up. And again, they hear this voice rumbling from the heavens saying, "This is my son, the beloved, whom I have approved. Obey him." Yeah, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the channel and give the video a thumbs up if you're getting some benefit from the conversation here. Hey, Joyce Lucas, how are you? And hey, Third Eye 888, welcome, welcome. Hey, Jilly, welcome back. How are you? So yeah, that's the part that people don't understand or can't quite wrap their heads around, because, and again, it's our programming. And if you don't understand how much it's your programming and how much it doesn't have to be your programming, think about the fact of how many times we turn on TV and believe what people say. All they got to do on TV, and we'll get to the watchers in just a minute, Lunar Beats. I want to make this point, though, before we do, about programming. How many people believe that 4 out of 5 dentists recommend fluoride in their toothpaste? Why? Why do we believe that? Because they lied to us on the tell lies to our vision and told us that. But do you realize that in order for them to be able to say 4 out of 5 dentists recommended it, all they got to do is interview 5 dentists and get 4 of them to say that? And very often they've paid those dentists to say that. And they have stuff on television. They tell us all the time that they'll come on. They don't tell you that the person is a doctor. They just show up on TV with a lab coat holding a clipboard and start saying stuff. And then people believe that that's what the medical community is promoting. It's all programming, y'all. Exactly. All fluoride is a waste byproduct of aluminum manufacture, and rather than pay to have that stuff disposed of in landfills, somebody that worked for a large aluminum manufacturer knew somebody back in the day that worked in Washington and put forth a convincing argument with absolutely no peer-reviewed evidence to back it, and got a lobbyist to go in there and promote for the idea that it was beneficial. And that's when they were able to sell that waste byproduct to the toothpaste companies. Instead of having to pay to put it in a landfill, they started putting it in our drinking water and putting it in toothpaste instead. Go look it up. Do your homework. Fluoride has never done any benefit to us at all. That's exactly what it does, story time, is it calcifies your third eye, your pineal gland, so that you cannot awaken. And they knew that. The powers that be knew that. It keeps your pineal gland calcified so that you cannot wake up. If you're still using fluoride toothpaste in 2025, for the love of all that's holy, please stop. Get you some Gold Cola in your life and stop using fluoride. Stop drinking fluoridated water. It will not prevent cavities. I grew up in a town guzzling fluoride water my whole childhood, got a mouthful of raggedy ass teeth. But when I stopped using fluoride toothpaste and drinking fluoridated water, probably back around 2010, I reached a point, because I was also taking Godu Cola when I was doing that, and I had a little round of some not super bad headaches, but a few headaches here and there for about a week or so, and I could literally I felt when my pineal gland started cracking open. But Gotu Cola, it's an herb. You can look it up. Gotukola. And black seed is good for us too. Yeah. You say you feel fried tonight, Laura? So sorry. A lot of things are good for that, but yeah, please stop using fluoride toothpaste if you're still using it. Yeah, that's how you spell it. You can, Storytime just wrote it there. You can go look it up and see, but it can help with some. Obviously, they're not going to tell you it has nootropic benefits or whatever, but if you're trying to detox and actually get your pineal gland active, look into it. That's all I'm going to say, and then make your best decision. But you do want to start detoxing and stuff first. You're welcome, pretty lady. But just those little things like that. We believe breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Why? Because Mr. Kellogg said it so he could sell some cereal. There's no absolute scientific fact to that at all. But because people said it, and somebody that looked official with a lab coat looking like a nutritionist said it, then we continue to believe that. Milk, it does a body good. That's another marketing thing that we've been given. And we believe that because it sounds good. And when they got somebody official that look like a nutritionist with a little lab coat to come in and say it, milk does not do a body good. Milk does a body a whole lot of harm. Milk for anything is for babies. And cow's milk is for cow babies. Cow's milk, in the form that it's in, it actually causes calcium to leach out of our bones. It does have calcium in it, but it's not bioavailable to us. But they don't tell you that. Vitamin fortified, vitamin D milk. Yeah, because they put vitamin D in it, but you can go and get vitamin D with 10 minutes of sunshine a day. I didn't say it didn't taste good, Laura, but guess what? The longer you drink it, the more pus and colds and everything else you're going to have. It leaches. Why do you think America has so many frail people? And again, not trying to be funny, and I'm definitely not being racist, but I'm going to tell you drop some real truth. Why do you think American nursing homes is full of old white men and women full of brittle bones? If they stand up too fast, they break a hip. Because through the 30s, 40s, and 50s, the dairy industry had convinced people in America that not only was it a status thing, but it was imperative to their health that they guzzle down damn near a gallon of milk a day. They wanted people to drink so much milk that they had delivery companies that would drop it off at your house. And middle class America, which was primarily white people, bought into that and drank that milk when those people were growing up. And now the people that grow up doing that are in the nursing homes with their bones as brittle as they can be. It causes calcium to leach out of their bones. Black folks don't have it as bad with that because a whole lot of black folks didn't have money like that. And black people tend to be more lactose intolerant. So we drank milk in infancy, but most black folks in America, especially if they was poor, wasn't having daily milk service guzzling down a gallon of milk a day. It tear up most people's stomach, Laura. It doesn't. It does line your stomach with pus, slime, pus, mucus, inflammation, like Antoine said. That's what comes from cow's milk. Why do you think it make people gassy? People talk about being lactose intolerant, make you fart because it's not. It imbalances our gut biome. Pierce McIntosh. I got one, dude already. I'm good. Um, Beef in and of itself would not be bad for you, Douglas. It's the chemicals, antibiotics, and all that stuff that go into beef. It takes typically a year to 2 years to get a dairy cow heavy enough to go to slaughter. And in that time, they're getting a regular dose of antibiotics and all kind. They're eating that infest pesticide sprayed grasses, and the stuff that's in it is what makes it's not the beef itself; it's the chemicals that are in it. If you had organic grass fed beef that did not have drinking nasty runoff water full of chemicals and fed a whole bunch of antibiotics and stuff, it's not the beef itself. It literally is the chemicals in the beef. And truthfully, son of all nations, pork wouldn't even kill you. I mean, the way pigs are raised here commercially is gross, but think about all the other countries of the world that do eat pork. It don't kill them. China and Japan and all them eat plenty of pork. It don't bother them none. We've been told, the Jews were told that it was dirty and all that because that's not what Yahweh liked. There's a lot of stuff that we believe there's a scientific basis for because it showed up in the scriptures, but that's because that's the Yahweh book. Like the doctors tried to, I remember several, like probably about 20, 30 years ago now, the medical community tried to claim that there was a reason that, or the biblical claim that that boy children needed to be circumcised at 8 days. The medical community tried to back that for years in America to try to justify that. That's because Yahweh did not want to see males looking different than Anunnaki males. Anunnaki males do not have a foreskin, and therefore he determined that the people who followed him, their children weren't going to, their males were not going to have a foreskin either. That's the only reason we circumcise. Now, at day 8, that is the time that the antibodies are highest. So it is healthiest if you're going to circumcise a male child. Doing it on day 8 is the least risk of infection because they've had an opportunity to get the colostrum from the mother to start building an antibody system. So you can kind of get away with doing it at day 8, but there is no medical reason whatsoever to circumcise a child. But we've grown up believing that because of the programming. That's a prime example. Because Yahweh said, exactly. But like I said, it's some point in the lost book of Enki, came out, and they didn't make no major deal out of it, but like I said, Yahweh was just saying stuff that, I mean, I'm not Yahweh, Enki was telling what happened. The human, like I said, Homo sapiens males were born with a foreskin, whereas Anunnaki males from Nibiru were not. And Yahweh hated humans so bad he couldn't even bear the idea that the males even looked different. He didn't want to see that. So he insisted that they be cut off. That's a Yahweh thing. It's not a real medical thing. It's just him not caring whether or not we have to go through pain or not for it. That's just something that he demanded because he made a whole lot of demands on people that didn't make no damn sense. Israelite women spent almost half of their month out of contact with everybody because she had to be out of, like I said, a week before her period and the week of her period and days after her period. She was unclean. She had to be away from the whole village, away from everybody, because he didn't like that. There was no reason why she had to be sequestered from everybody for damn near half a month, every month. Except for that's what Yahweh wanted, because he hated humans that much. Everything about us disgusted him. Yeah, pork duck can carry the for trichinosis. I get that, Niana, but again, a lot of that is how they are raised as well. If they're raised in filth, they might. But most of the time, if they're cooked properly, that's not going to be a problem. There's a whole lot of fish that have bacteria in their gut that can kill you too. But guess what? In America, the way we farm it, how many times you done heard them pulling stuff like spinach and greens and green beans off the market because they're now carrying something that can kill you too. So that's what I'm saying. We're brainwashed into believing certain things are okay and certain things aren't because that's what they're selling this week or that week. But guess what, Vipe? If you wash your ass, you ain't got to worry about that part. Hey, Wyatt Willis, you gonna send me $100? Yay, appreciate you. My buy me a coffee link is right there on the channel. Yeah, they've got. If you believe everything we saw on television, you literally couldn't. You can't even drink. You even if you wanted to become a breatharian, let them tell it the air will kill you. Think about it. Every single thing that you can think of, somebody gonna come out advocating for it, and somebody's gonna come out advocating against it. We really got to stop being so gullible. They sell avocados by the boatload now because a few years ago somebody decided that avocados was a healthy thing that we needed to have. But guess what? You can also look at the flip side of that math, and because of so much avocado farming, go and look at how many small farmers throughout Central and South America that was literally run out of their farms so that people can farm avocados. Beef farming, it does a body good. Beef is what's for dinner. And that they turned over so much farmland that could have been used to feed people growing grain and stuff. Cows eat a lot of grain. It takes a lot of acreage to get of grain to get a cow to market size, humans could be eating that grain and bypassing it. So there's pluses and minuses to all of that. But that's my entire point that I was making. When you go back and look at all of those things, the way we're manipulated is because somebody in power wanted it a certain way. It's not a real reasoning for it. Same thing with religion. We believe what we believe because somebody before us decided it was a good idea and insisted on it and programmed it into us and put fear in us that if we don't do this, we're displeasing a big sky daddy somewhere that we're gonna die and go to hell for. And that's could not be the furthest thing from the truth. It's a bald-faced lie. And somebody, when they first started that lie, knew it was a lie. But the lie been told for so long that people believe it so much. Now they're afraid to buck the status quo. That's why every time I come in this room and start teaching, people jump on and be telling me about how Jesus is king and Jesus is God and I don't know and they gonna pray for me and all the rest of that stuff because I'm trying to teach the truth and they're wanting to cling to the lie. Now somebody asked me about my view of the Watchers. The Watchers were Anunnaki beings, same basic group. They came from the same planet. Exactly. Jesus was, I don't think he was just a prophet, son of all nations. The more I dig around through the scriptures and the Anunnaki text and the emerald tablets, I think he was more than just a prophet. I really do believe he was Enki's son. I believe he was the second incarnation of Thoth. And when we get into the book of Enoch, again, it's still, Thoth was known as the Word, Yeshua was known as the Word. Thoth was known as the Son of Man, Yeshua was known as the Son of Man. Thoth was the Logos, Yeshua was the Logos. Thoth was the light of the world, Yeshua was the light of the world. Thoth gained immortality. And John 3:16 says that God gave his only son so that whoever believed like him might not perish, but gain eternal life, just like Thoth did. Mithras, I'm not sure. I have to do some more research to speak intelligently on it. But as far as the Watchers in general, they were the ones who were working the gold project here. There was two main projects that was going on Earth with the Anunnaki. The gold mining operation, and then because of the gold mining operation not going down fast enough, the Adamu breeding project started. That was the secondary project. We think that we were here because we were just the apple of God's eye. We were here to solve a need. That's the only reason we're here. The African heat was kicking their ass and they were about to mutiny because they had been here on this planet for 40 or 50,000 years trying to mine the gold by themselves, and they were running against the clock because their atmosphere was degrading rapidly on Nibiru. They were working against the clock trying to save their home planet. So that's why the Adamu breeding project kicked off. That's the only reason we're here. And once they got the gold thing situated, they started shuttling the gold they used Mars as a way station. So they would mine the gold and refine it here and then stack it up on Mars until a shuttle would come from Nibiru. Instead of the shuttle having to land on Earth, it would stop at Mars and pick up the gold and then head back to Nibiru. There were 200 workers from Nibiru stationed on Mars. We call them the Watchers now, because they took it upon themselves when they mutinied. They were watching Earth and they got to hate and they got jealousy in their heart because they started seeing the exploits of Enki and Marduk. Marduk married a human female. Enki had been quietly on the low, breeding with humans here and there, but he wasn't saying much about it. But, after a while, they started, like, people looked at Noah and they saw he was different. It didn't take much to figure out he was a hybrid. And Methuselah lived 969 years. It don't take much figuring out to figure out that he was a hybrid. Canaan would live like 640 years. It don't take much figuring out to figure out that that was a hybrid. So Enki was out there breeding on the low with humans. Marduk openly went and married Sarpanet, who was a human. And the Watchers were sitting up on Mars, pissed off because they sitting on Mars, just them by themselves, working this goal. They don't even have the beauty and all the rest of that, and the freedom and the clean water and the sunlight and all the other good stuff that they had on Earth. Now they stuck up there on Mars waiting on gold shipments, and they start feeling some type of way about it. And when Marduk married Sarpanet, they crashed the wedding reception and started started taking wives for themselves. And it didn't go so well because that was not a selective process. They were just randomly breeding with humans that were at various places in the Adamu breeding project, and it resulted in the Nephilim, huge, nasty, bloodthirsty giants. They said that some of them were even cannibalistic, horrible, horrible situation on the planet. It was wreaking havoc everywhere. And for that, and not only did they mate with those human females, but they started giving the females and those Nephilim children forbidden knowledge that was not doing well. Honestly, Unique, they probably didn't have to violate them. If the women were free to choose, I'm sure they were beautiful to look at. Think about every pantheon that Enki shows up in. Now, Thoth shows up as weird with the bird feet, the bird beak and all the rest of that. But look at how Enki is depicted. Poseidon, Olokun, and Shiva. He always appears as beautiful, gorgeous. If they was decent looking men, they didn't have to violate nothing, but they wasn't supposed to just go out there and indiscriminately take those women either. And they knew that. And they certainly weren't supposed to give them dark magic and metallurgy and a lot of the stuff that it wasn't time for humans to have yet. They brought a lot of forbidden knowledge to the planet that caused a lot of problems. Pierce, I told you before, I got a man. We're not here for that. Sophia is one of the aeons who would have been. She was a closer emanation or creation, if you will, of the creator of all. The original one, like what we've been told that Yahweh is, he really isn't. He is one of Barbelo's creations, Yahweh, Yaldabaoth, as is Sophia. Or wait a minute. I think Sophia and Barbelo, I can't remember if Sophia made Barbelo or Barbelo made Sophia, but that's in the Gnostic information and it gets a little confusing, but that's closer to the initial creations when the creator of all divided itself unto itself to become divine masculine and divine feminine. I'm not sure who Esdras is, but if it was, the deeper we get into the apocryphal text, we'll find out why. But they took it out for the same reason they took the book of Enoch out and the Gospel of Thomas and the book of Adam and Eve and all the rest of them, because they tell more of the story than is conducive to the Christian story. Don't mean that those books aren't true. It just means that it could not fit those books into the Christian narrative. That's what people don't understand. They think that Christianity is the truth. No, it's not. It's as much of the truth as they chose to tell you, which trust and believe, according to all the other books and documents they're digging up. Christianity is only telling you this much of the story. And they're putting a spin on it for a very distinct reason, to keep you blind, stuck, and in service to the devil. But they don't call him the devil. They call him Yahweh, Jehovah, Alpha, Omega, Sky Daddy. They literally painted what is bad to be good and paint what is good to be bad. But they tell you that right in the book. That's the part that gets me, that Christians don't understand. It tells you the whole world is lying in the power of the wicked one. Yeshua told them that a deceiver would come along and lead humanity lost for thousands of years. They tell you that the devil's greatest tool is his anonymity, his creating the belief that he does not exist. And they tell you that the devil, who has been putting himself forward to be an angel of light, will be destroyed at the end of all of this. And yet Christians still keep on not wanting to believe that the one they're worshiping is the devil, even though Jesus told them it was. The Agigi unique were like the children of the Anunnaki. The Watchers okay. When you say Anunnaki, again, we're thinking about the big dogs, Enki, Enlil, Ninmah, Thoth, all of that. But in the sense that they all came from Nibiru, basically, the Watchers were Anunnaki too. They may have been lesser in rank because you got the prince, was what do you be, the prince regent, whoever's in line for the throne. Enlil would be the prince regent, and then they were sons of the king. Ninmah was a daughter of the king. Thoth was the nephew or the son of the king. So he was the son, the grandson of the king or the emperor or whatever they call the ruler on Nibiru. And those other cats were been like his lieutenants or corporate in the military. Basically, the Watchers were the military force. They were brought in and doing the mining operation initially, but think of it as if they had brought in a small military force with them, because it said, I think the first trip when they came here, it was Thoth and Ninmah and Enki and Enlil, but they brought he said his lieutenants and whoever. He had like a crew of 50 that came with him first. So same thing. Again, I don't know why they don't talk about Sirach. I haven't gotten deep enough in. That didn't come out in the Sitchin work yet. I don't know where Sirach is or who that is. You may be in some more in more of the apocryphal text, but a lot of those names, some of the stuff that they don't talk about is because some of it, depending on which, if you go into later pantheons, there's a lot of stuff that has already been diluted or outright misstated. Like if you start with the Anunnaki story, if you start with the lost book of Enki, by the time you get to the Babylonian epic, the Enuma Elish and Atrahasis, you can already see that they're starting to be manipulated and the lies are creeping in. Marduk, let him tell it. Well, he was out there, he created the planet Tiamat, and when he got ready to take Tiamat down, let Marduk tell it in his self-aggrandizing retelling of the story. He claimed he was the one that destroyed Tiamat. He won't even born when Tiamat was destroyed. He's Enki's son. If Enki had anything to do with the destruction of Tiamat, don't you think he would have said something about it? It didn't show up nowhere in the Anunnaki text. That was in the Babylonian lie. Okay, well, again, there's a lot of information out there, son of all nations, and I'll get to what I can when I can, but I haven't read the book of Esdras yet. I'm telling you, that's why I said I can't speak on that directly. I don't know directly who Esdras was. I haven't heard his name mentioned at all yet in any of the texts that I'm mentioning. So I don't know who he is or why they was afraid of his preaching or anything else, because if they didn't want to listen to Yahweh's preaching, honestly, to me, I'm willing to find out. I'm not saying I'm not gonna get there, but if they wouldn't listen to Yahweh, I mean, they wouldn't listen to Yeshua. I know good and full well they wouldn't listen to Esdras, whoever he was. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I don't, and again, Weston, y'all are bringing up later pantheons. I'm not familiar with every single pantheon that's out there on the planet and who these beings were throughout every pantheon. Yeshua took me right back to the beginning, to the Anunnaki. There is no older pantheon out there than when they first got here, set foot off the spaceship. That's where he had me start. And I when I got there, I have feel no need to go digging around in Zoroastrian stuff and the Gnostic this and the Egyptian that and the Greek that, because the Anunnaki texts tell us what happened before they got here, why they chose to come here, what happened when they got here, and what happened after they got here. Why would I want to start digging around in a whole bunch of convoluted versions of stuff that came along thousands of years later if I can go right back to the very beginning? It's like people want to know who created God. If Yahweh ain't God, well, who created the heavens and the earth? I demand to see the manager. Well, in this case, Yeshua took me back to the manager as far back as humans can get before it. Like I say, if we go back any further, we have to get off this planet. That's far enough back for me. So that's why I pay more attention to that. I may eventually get into some of that other stuff, but the reason I was led to the Lost Book of Enki, and then after that, I clairaudiently received that I needed to get the rest of Sitchin's work because there was other details or information in there that we needed to look at, or that may be missing, or maybe it may be important for me to physically have those books at some point in the future. So it wasn't just because I just up and decided to do that. Spirit led me to go get that. So that's why I look at what I'm looking at. There's millions of books on this planet that I could dig into, but the reason I'm in the ones I'm in is because that's where I was led. The Agigi are the sons, and basically they are the offspring of the Watchers. I know the son of all nations, the lost books of the Torah can stay lost as far as I'm concerned. And truthfully, the lost books of the Torah are going to be some of the same similar books as the apocryphal text of the Bible. But again, the Bible spin, the Torah, the yeah, they basically are the Yahweh story. I'm not interested in that. Once I found out who and what Yahweh is, I'm not, I will reference the Bible because that's what I'm familiar with. And in America, most people will be familiar with those stories. That's what I grew up with. So that was my programming initially, and it helped put things in context. But I don't need to go through all the different iterations of Yahweh worship to know I don't want to be bothered with him. He's a nasty cat. And when I found out the lies that he done perpetrated on humanity, I was done with him. Good, Bonnie, good. And honestly, that's the main thing. Well, Meg Yan, I read was truth to my soul. Honestly, yes and no. It felt like truth to my soul once I actually was led to the information, but I had to, when I was led to it, I was genuinely led to this information. I was not looking for it, I was not familiar with it. But when I was led to it, I reached a point when I knew I was working with my guides, that when I got a strong intuitive nudge to look at something, I just obeyed the nudges and sat down and listened. Because I asked Yeshua, I asked any of the ascended masters that were willing to work with me to come forward and let me know. And immediately Yeshua Thoth and Saint Germain came forward. So as I learned to listen to my intuition and just go wherever it took me and obey, when it took me there, I listened to it. And at first I just was like, oh, wow, that's pretty cool. And then a few months later, it's like Spirit was like, no, 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 sit down and listen again. And I want you to give it the same kind of respect you would give a reading of the Bible. And when I listened to it the second time with with fresh set of ears, I heard the similarity, the similar cadence, the writing style, all the rest of that. And I was like, no, no, no. This ain't just entertainment. This ain't just a cool movie. This is important. And then shortly after that, like I said, Spirit was like, no, get all of the work, go through everything. Hey, Wentworth Pond. Hey, Thomas Solar. Yeah, exactly, Thomas. And we're going to get into the book of Enoch as well, because there's several things in there that they took out to Tabitha. They took out the Apocrypha because it tells too much of the truth. They can't sell the Christian story such as it is and keep the Apocrypha intact. It tells too much of the truth. And that thought came to me too, because I had literally downloaded I had a phone like a bajillion years ago, and I had downloaded most of the Apocrypha on my phone and just never got around to reading it. I had it in PDF format. And my parents had most of the apocryphal texts growing up. Like I said, they were big on wanting me to read. They taught me to read from the age of 3 and all the rest of that. But they had the apocryphal volumes up on the goodbye TB. You grow up. Please grow up. I hope you're if you're more than 12, you should genuinely be ashamed of yourself. We're having a serious conversation, and that's the best you got, bruh. Then go take a laxative and get the hell off my live stream with the nonsense. My parents, but you can be made invisible here. How about that? We'll put you in timeout for a good long while. How about that? Maybe you be done had you a nice poop by the time you get back. Disgusting self. Lord have mercy. But they had the apocryphal text and on the bookshelf at home, and I was forbidden to read it as a child. And I was such an obedient kid. Now you would think I was scared to read it. Honestly, I was so programmed in fear with my religious upbringing. We had to read plenty of biblical stuff, but I was told that I could not read the Apocrypha, and I was afraid to. And then about like I said, last year sometime, it occurred to me, wait a minute, maybe the reason they don't want us to read it is because it tells too much of the truth. And I went looking for the book of Enoch to start there, and instead I was led to the lost book of Enki first, and went down that rabbit hole, and then went back through the emerald tablets and whatnot. And then when I started looking at the Gospel of Judas, after I started going back into the scriptures, then I really started realizing, yeah, the reason they didn't want that stuff in there is because it tells too much. I have read the whole Bible, but I'm not reading the Quran, son of all nations. I absolutely refuse to read the Quran, and I'm going to tell you why. Because Muhammad, peace be upon him, don't even know if what he said, what he actually said, was put in the Quran. Muhammad couldn't read and write. So when that book would have been the most manipulatable of all of the sacred texts. There's no point in me reading the Quran. And the Quran is the most misogynistic. I find what Muslims do to women highly offensive, and I'll tell any of them that to their face. There's no need for me to read that. It's disgusting. And the fact that they feel like it's absolutely all right to go and unalive themselves and take other people out with them, and that's pleasing to the God that they worship, the devil is a lie. We're not doing that. Why would I need to go read that? Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Exactly, Weston. And he started out laughing, and he said that they didn't get it for all of that he went through, for that all the years that he came through to them in ministry. He understood that they absolutely did not get the point of his message. And Judas, the world looks at Judas as betraying him and all of that, but Yeshua in the gospel of Judas, Yeshua said that Judas knew better who he was than any of the rest of his disciples. That didn't still make him a good guy, because he was playing a role, And Yeshua has selected him to play a role, but he was still playing a role. I don't want to know, again, why would anybody that's so low in intelligence, son of all nations, and I'm sorry if it offends you, but I got to say it, because a thinking person in 2025 that would still think that following a God that will encourage them to unalive themselves and other people and to mistreat their women the way they do, that's not a sign of intelligence. I don't need to know how those people think. I need to stay as far away from that kind of mental claptrap as I can. There's no need for me to embrace that. That is a sign of lesser intelligence. I don't need that. I understand that they don't think at all. That's how do they think? They can't be thinking for themselves if they believe that following that monster is a good thing. El ties back to Yahweh, ties back to Allah. Allah ties back to El, which is another form or iteration of Yahweh Jehovah. It's all the same. Muslims swear and be damned that they're not worshiping Yahweh, but they really are and don't even know. So again, why do I need to know how you think when you don't even have enough intelligence to know who? And I'm not saying you're not intelligent and an ability to learn sense, but you've been so hoodwinked and bamboozled and brainwashed that you don't even understand the origin and nature of the actual God you serve and why you serve him. So I don't need to know how they think. No more than I need to know. I know how the Jews think. I know how the Christians think. And I can see how the Muslims think. I look at how you living in the world. That ain't nothing I want to look deeply into. And again, whether it can't be religiously accurate because it's so technically unproficient. I wouldn't live that way for nothing in the world. I'm sorry. Ritual prayers do not make you holy, especially when you can do all of the ritual prayers in the world and turn around and kill your brothers and sisters. That don't make you holy, bro. That's well, I'm glad you do. But reading and not understanding or reading and not applying doesn't do you any good. You can read all the books in the world, but I'm not going to read all books. I'm not going to tell nobody that because I won't allow everything to go into my mind. That's how people stay stuck. There's certain things on this planet that genuinely are deleterious to our good. There are certain things that are poisonous to the soul. And when you know that you've contacted poison, sipping poison is not a wise thing to do. Just so you can say you open-minded. You don't have to be a fool in the name of being open-minded. Sorry. Exactly. It don't, Megyon, again. But that's what he's saying. He read all books. When I hear people say that, they just gotta bring everything in. No, you're supposed to be discriminating. There's several scriptures that say, let the reader use discernment. So just absorbing anything and everything will leave you a fool. You'll absorb so much stuff that you have poison in your mind and you won't even know how to think. Everything on this planet ain't worth knowing. You say you get bummed out when you told, but again, they can tell you God is Jesus, but Jesus told you he wasn't God himself. So you got bummed out because you chose. This is a prime example, son of all nations. She was on a track. She could hear God speak to her, but she allowed somebody to come and convince her that God was something other than what she knew it to be, and she chose to believe what somebody else told her, and it bummed her out. So she let somebody take her common sense and her own experience from her in the name of being open-minded because that's what somebody else told her to do. Nope, not today. Okay, well, again, after all of that, basically son of all nations, they absolutely do. It ain't about nationalities. I didn't say nothing about a nationality. I said those who worship the Abrahamic religions, which includes whether you want to believe Allah and Yahweh are the same or not, Does not matter. The Abrahamic religions are Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. They have been 75% of the planet has been worshiping one or other of the Abrahamic religions for the last 2,500 years on this planet, and ain't been a day of peace nowhere on a day of worldwide peace on the planet since those have been the religions in power. If they so right, all nationalities don't move the same. It don't matter the damn nationality. It's the deity they worship. He's a violent, bloodthirsty, misogynistic, violating, dishonest, deceptive deity in every single pantheon he's ever been represented in on this planet since the very, very beginning. All the way since he set foot off the spaceship as Enlil. When he was Dionysus, he was dishonest. When he was Yah, he was dishonest. When he was Zeus, he ate his own children. When he was Odin, he was violent. Every pantheon he's ever shown up in, he was violent, misogynistic, bloodthirsty, and dishonest. So regardless what you choose to call him, people who serve him eventually start acting like him. It ain't got no difference what nationality they are. They do move the same because they worship in the same bloodthirsty ass. And when you worship a monster, eventually you become a monster. The scriptures say a slave of the Lord don't need to fight, but these fools keep fighting. They ain't been doing nothing but fighting ever since they started serving him. Period. There are good-hearted Muslims, Christians, and Jews, but that's because they're good-hearted people, but they don't understand how they've been lied to and hoodwinked and bamboozled. That's why people like me, and I'm not the only one, there's plenty of them, but once we've learned the truth, we stop just mollycoddling and swallowing the lie and sipping the poison Kool-Aid, and we tell the truth to help wake those good-hearted people up so they can come out from under worshiping the devil. They have been bamboozled and lied to and tricked into worshiping the devil for 2,500 years. And sooner or later, we've got to stop, because at the end of most of those books, it tell you that eventually there's a contingent of people in all of them books that tell you they think they're doing the right thing and they're not. And eventually they're going to be destroyed because they was riding off behind the beast and they didn't know no better. So it's the responsibility of people that learn better to tell it, whether people choose to hear it and listen and come out from under that or not. That's each individual's person. That's their choice. I can speak it all day. Whether you believe me and do something about it is completely up to you. But it's my responsibility as a servant of Yeshua to speak the truth. That's what he was doing. He was doing that every day for 3 whole years until they unalived him for it. That's why they unalived him, for telling the truth. He told them directly that they were not worshiping a good God, that the Elohim that they were worshiping was not the same Elohim who sent him, that the Elohim that they were worshiping was a liar, a manslayer, and he ain't had no good in him. He's the father of the lie, and that he was the devil. He told them that directly. And they still didn't believe him either. And they were so mad about it that they unalived him for it. So I understand when you can't hear me, you just can't hear me. You ain't ready to hear me yet. It takes a measure of maturity to hear me. Like you said, Weston said in the Gospel of Judas, Yeshua acknowledged that most of the people that he was witnessing to did not get it at all. So don't even feel bad if you don't understand. I'm trying to tell you, if you can't hear it, you just can't hear it. You said the way people lie about people who died 3 years ago. Imagine 1,000 years. You don't know what to believe when it comes to religion. Just believe God. Well, Tay D, you can take that attitude, and honestly, I get what you're saying to a degree, but that was one of the reasons I set out to find out the nature of the God that I was supposed to be serving. Because I was indoctrinated fully, like I said, from the age of 3. I was indoctrinated to worship Yahweh, Jehovah. And I thought that was a good thing, but the world I was seeing around me, it didn't play out right. The scriptures say God is love, but I wasn't seeing no whole lot of love within religion or the world. So I wanted to know the nature of the God that I was serving. So I went back into reading the scriptures. Once I understood that Elohim did not mean God, it meant powerful ones. And once I understood that there was more than one Elohim that was actually portrayed in the Bible, even though the Bible, Christianity attempted to whitewash the rest of the Elohim out the story, I went back and started reading that Bible again, and my eyes were opened, and I actually understood what I was reading for the first time. And I realized, oh my goodness, Yahweh is a nasty son of a bitch. There's no reason nobody need to be worshiping him at all, at all. He's not a God, and he ain't even a decent being. He's horrible. He wants us gone. He done tried a couple of different times to have us completely annihilated off this planet. That's the real irony. Everybody bowing and scraping and running behind them, fighting wars, killing each other, killing their neighbors and everything else in service to a God who absolutely hates us. Would not put us out if we was on fire, and people are steady praying to this cat thinking that he's going to do something for him. He absolutely isn't. In Revelation 20, I'll let you know. You going to read from Revelation 20 on out the door to 22. That's not Yahweh they talking about. Satan is Yahweh, the one that's going to be destroyed, and the other one that's coming back is the other Elohim that was competing for sovereignty on this planet, Enki. You said have an open mind, but not so open your brain falls out. Exactly. Exactly. Ain't no problem, son of all nations. Again, I understand that people think the way they do because they've been programmed to think the way they do. 10 years ago, I was, well, a little, maybe 15, 20 years ago, I was the same way. And then when I first stepped away from religion, I was just upset. I thought I just hadn't found the right sect of Christianity. Surely, you know, the one I was raised in got it wrong, but I'll find the right one. And I went searching and tried to find that. And the more I looked and the more I read, and like I said, I started following intuition, and I was just kind of inch by inch led around to be able to finally understand the truth. Cryptid, that's a good thing. You can understand, like I said, understand seeing things from other perspectives to understand how someone arrived at their opinion without accepting it. And that's true, because I didn't set out, when I first started looking at this information, like I said, it was interesting to me, but I didn't fully get the real impact of it until several months later, when I was led to go back through some of this information. And even then, it was about a year after that when I started going through the Emerald tablets for the third time. I think it was the fourth time that I went through the Emerald tablets, that the light bulb really came on for me of what Thoth was saying and doing, as opposed to what Yeshua was saying and doing. And then that prompted me to go back and read the Gospel of John again. And that blew the doors all the way off of it for me. And I'm like, oh my God. All this time they've been telling this immaculate conception story, immaculate whatever. That ain't no immaculate conception. It's an artificial insemination. And yes, most likely that is Yahweh. That is, yes, not Yahweh, Enki's son. That's the part that never made it understand to me. Yahweh hated Yeshua. Satan tempted him when Yeshua got baptized and went into the wilderness. Yahweh went right up in the wilderness himself. They called it Satan in that particular aspect. But again, his title was Satan of the Eden. That's the part people don't understand. But in his role as Satan the devil, he went into the wilderness to heckle and tempt and F with Yeshua while he was doing his initiatory fast. He went to fast for 40 days, and Yahweh was in there, made it his personal business to taunt him. He definitely was not on team on Yahweh was not on team Yeshua. He would not have said that's his son. Right. Well, truthfully, and son of all nations, when you say deities, that's the thing. The scriptures say we war not against flesh and blood, but against powers and principalities. They're not truly deities. That's the problem. We've been told they're deities because they said they were deities. They are not deities. They're powerful beings, yes, in that they come from a star system on the other side of ours, and they're excuse me, their planet is 1,000,000 years older than ours, so they're more advanced evolutionarily, if that's a word, than we are, and they have more technology than we do. But they're not deities; they're just beings with a lot of technology. There's nothing. There's no there. No, they're not deities at all. At all. We need to respect them because they're our progenitors, but they are absolutely not deities. What we think of as angels, that's because they can move around in the unseen, non corporeal state. They can go in between dimensions and this and that. Like I said, they're very powerful, but deities, nah. Their morality won't allow them to be real deities. Their morality is worse than ours. They sleep with each other. They have children with their brothers and sisters like it's nothing. They kill each other like it's nothing. They violate women like it's nothing. Why would we look up to them and consider them deities? Because we have a worship gene inserted in them by us, by them, to make us worship them. And they lied and told us that they're gods, but they're not. We got to wake up and smell the coffee. When Enki put that worship gene in us, he also gave us the ability to turn it off because he felt bad about what they were doing and understood that we had the propensity to excel even their intelligence if we would allow ourselves to awaken. That's the whole Adam and Eve story in the nutshell. Yahweh got pissed off because Enki felt bad about lying to them, and he told Eve the truth. And for telling her the truth, Enki got mad, painted him as a devil, and kicked Adam and Eve out of the garden. Exactly, Meg Yan. A real God of unconditional love is incapable of that much hurt and pain. And that was one of the reasons I never got way far behind. And if you'll notice in the scriptures, Yeshua says his father doesn't judge at all. All judgment has been left to him. And whether we looking at the scriptures or the emerald tablets or the book of Enoch, and all Yeshua, I mean Thoth was left for judging humanity in the book in the emerald tablets, and Yeshua is left for judging humanity at the end of Revelation. In the book of Enoch, it just says the Son of Man is going to be the one that's judging. So whether you see him in that vision as Yeshua or as Thoth, either way, probably the same being. But yeah, God, Yahweh, Enki doesn't judge, period, according to Yeshua. Exactly, a Canaanite warrior storm god. That's what Yahweh is, and that's what people don't understand. They really don't understand. Hey, Daniel. And the issue is still sovereignty. It was always sovereignty. The scriptures make that clear, but the lie comes in because again they genericized the Bible, and where it should have said Elohim, which means powerful ones in the plural, because Yahweh, excuse me, because Yahweh is such a jealous God that wanted to paint this notion that he's the only God, like whoever came in here and said earlier, because he wanted to create that image of being the only God, they whitewashed the scriptures, and instead of leaving Elohim there as and translating it properly, they mistranslated Elohim and put God in the singular where it should say powerful ones in the plural. And for that reason, the issue of sovereignty in the scriptures gets convoluted. Instead of it being in reality, it was an issue of sovereignty between two brothers, Enlil and Enki, or Enlil and Yahweh Jehovah, because Enki and Enlil, Yahweh, Jehovah is the same one being. His brother's name is Enki. He didn't do a whole lot of messing around with his name changes around the time of the Israelites. So the issue is of sovereignty between Enlil and Enki, not between Yahweh and Satan. That's the Bible tells us that it's an issue of sovereignty between Yahweh and Satan, but Yahweh is Satan. That's the punchline of Christianity that they can't see and don't understand and refuse to see. Well, Caleb, you on your way out of here. What do I think of Lucifer being a tester in Judaism or light bringer compared to the other Abrahamic religions of Christianity? Lucifer should be a light bringer, and it should refer to Lord Enki. That's there's some if I can find it again, I may even put it in the community tab. There's a couple of videos on YouTube that are discussing the fact that that scripture where it calls Lucifer the morning star is a deliberate mistranslation of a mistranslation. He wasn't talking about Satan, the devil, in those. He was literally just basically, where were you, Lucifer the morning star? There's a thought process out there at some point that Enki has ties to Venus. Morning star was referring to the Venusian, because guess what? At the end of Revelation, Yeshua is referred to as the morning star as well. It's not talking about Satan. I believe it's a reference to Lord Enki, which is a light bringer. He is the light bringer on this planet, and Yahweh hated him for that. That's his brother, but he hated him for trying to bring light here. Because in Enlil, Yahweh wants to keep us in darkness and subterfuge and lies and deception. And Enki wants to teach us the truth. Once he gave us his DNA, he genuinely sees us as his children. And Enlil Yahweh ain't want no parts of that. He don't see us as nothing but animals, slaves, trash, to be done away with, to be annihilated. Our usefulness is over. He wants us all gone. That's the other real ironic part of the Abrahamic religions. Like I said, they got people running around here bowing and scraping and worshiping and paying, giving 10% of everything they own throughout all time, and doing all these holidays and festivals and all the rest of that stuff to somebody who absolutely hates us. Don't mind the service and the worship and all that, but absolutely hates us through every pantheon he's ever been in. Go back and read the Enuma Elish. He was calling for our death all the way through that book, multiple times, over and over and over and over. Atrahasis wasn't no better. He wanted us gone. Why? Because we just for making too much noise. Even if we was out there making noise in the performing of the duties that he gave us to do, the fact that they woke him up out his sleep, he wanted them all killed. Yahweh ain't nothing nice. There are no, Bonnie Myers, there are no capital G gods on this planet, period. The creator of all, who initially put this planet here, and the hominids that they tamper with, the one who put the mountains and the streams and the animals and the rivers and the wildlife, that the one in Genesis 1:1, in the beginning God created heaven and earth. That's the only capital G God that appears in the whole Bible, is in Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. Everything else is lowercase Anunnaki beings. Big G God has never weighed in and rolled up here since the Anunnaki been here, except to send his messenger. Twice he sent them the messenger Galzu with how he wanted this thing to be handled, since they had already took it upon themselves to do a home invasion on his planet and do some stuff that he didn't tell them to do with his life forms that he didn't tell them to do. He left 2 messages for them, but he has never didn't choose to interfere when they came here and dared to play God and tamper with his creation. But he did let them know he's aware that they were here and tamper with him, and that he wants us preserved, or they, it, whatever you want to call it. But big G God, there are no big G gods on this planet, and have not been. It's not Eve's fault, Jamin. That's that Abrahamic nonsense. Whenever they cut the divine feminine out of religion, they told that lie and pinned everything on Eve. The devil is a lie. You've been fed Kool-Aid too long, Jamin Jadua. It's not Eve's fault for wanting. Why would it be somebody's fault for wanting to know the truth? You sitting here now wanting to know the truth. So how would you like it if somebody said that whatever bad happens on the planet is your fault because you wanted to know the truth? That's all she wanted. That's the sin in the Garden of Eden. It wasn't the fact that she ate a fruit. It said that she ate, not even a literal fruit. Enki, the first mystery school on this planet, was called the Order of the Serpent. It's not anything bad. It wasn't evil. It wasn't of the darkness. It was to preserve ancient knowledge. Lord Enlil insisted that we have a worship gene put in us, and that we never be told that they were not gods, that we not be told the truth, that we be made to be slaves to them and worship them as gods. That is the lie that Lord Enlil insisted be perpetuated on this planet when Adam and Eve were created. Lord Enki got to bothering his conscience so bad till he told Eve the truth. And that is all she's guilty of, is having received the truth and made the decision to turn off her worship gene. She believed Lord Enki when he told her the truth. She turned off her worship gene and stopped looking at Enlil as a god and saw him as the tyrant that he was. You need to understand, son. Hey, Ali Osbeck. Would not be a human dilemma if they could accept the truth that's coming out now. The information that I'm talking about, it ain't like I just made this stuff up at the top of my head and talking out the side of my neck. This is information that was dug up over 100 years ago and has been being discussed for 100 years on this planet. So it doesn't have to remain a human dilemma. We could learn, accept the truth and turn off our worship gene. The only reason it's still a dilemma is because so many people are still stuck in the programming that they want to cling to that lie. But that's why people like me keep speaking about it, because eventually some of them old heads that was believing that nonsense, they gonna die off. Honestly, when I started speaking this stuff, I'm excited, and thankful, that there are people that are close to my age group that are hearing it and accepting it, but I didn't expect that. I didn't expect that at all. Most of the old heads around my age group will not accept this information. I'm putting it here in digital format so that if I don't get shadow banned or removed, if nothing else, if I put it out here in the space, in the universe someplace, that if this generation doesn't hear it, the next one will, or the next one, or the next one. Sooner or later, people have to keep speaking about it so it never stops if people don't get bold enough to speak the truth. They dug all of them volumes up out of the ground. They spent hundreds and millions of dollars to have people translate them and write what they said in the translations down in books. A lot of people have spent their life's work bringing this information to the fore. If don't nobody read them books and talk about them, what was that for? Humanity will stay stuck in ignorance. So people like me read the book, believe the book, think about it, pray about it, meditate on it, and speak it so that it no longer, religion does not have to remain a human dilemma. Exactly, you need Yahweh wants us to be naked slaves. He truthfully just wants us gone. I know Yeshua ben Nazariah, Isa ben Yosef, whatever you choose to call him, son of all nations, most likely was a Buddhist monk. He was the nephew of Joseph of Arimathea, and that's who I know is Yeshua. But like I said, the more I read and the more I come to understand, in my opinion, he is the second incarnation of Thoth. He is the son of Lord Enki. Well, God's own child, humanity don't know what to believe because, like I said, until the internet came along, there really wasn't any way for a lot of people to get this information. Think about it. I came from a little teeny tiny town in the Bible Belt of the southeastern United States. I would have never come across this information if it hadn't been for the internet. People can buck the internet all they want, but I know that that was a gift from the ascended masters. Do you really think that the military wanted to give us something like this? No, they didn't. But they were. I'm loving the fact that it happened anyway. Oh, Janelle, they and you said the Anunnaki beefs were crazy. It ain't finished because if you read Revelation with the new understanding, you'll realize that that whole final battle in Revelation and the way that goes down, that is the final skirmish in the Anunnaki War. The Anunnaki Wars have been playing out over thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years on this planet, all the way back through when Sumer was destroyed. The first civilization was destroyed not because of human error, that was because Marduk, in a jealous shit fit, unleashed one of the weapons of terror on the land, which it was never meant to be used on land. That was an intergalactic space tool for protecting spaceships, but it was a nuclear weapon that was unleashed on this land, and the nuclear fallout from it destroyed um Shurabak, Schumer, and Eridu. No, babe. Son of all nations. No, Enlil don't want us to be free. Enlil wants us to be dead. He said, let us all drown. When the flood was coming, they couldn't prevent it. They did not cause the flood, but they knew it was coming. They could not prevent it. But he literally went back to the Galactic Council. I mean, not the Galactic Council. He went to the seven who judge on Nibiru to fight for the ability to let us all drown during the flood. And the council gave him permission to let us drown. The only reason we're still here is because of Lord Enki, not Lord Enlil. That's another lie that Christianity tell us because they genericized it. Like I said, they didn't put no names in there. They just said God said this and God said that. They don't tell us which Elohim preserved us, but it was not Lord Enlil, Yahweh, that preserved us through the flood. It was Lord Enki. And the main reason he did it was because Noah was his biological son. Noah was a Ziazudra. Noah was an Anunnaki hybrid. Oh, okay. You say you meant to say Enki? Okay, cool. Good night. Good night. You said if 3D found you, it's pulling you back. Good night, Meg Yon. Have a good one. Honestly, Weston, here's the thing. Except for some of the deity placements through the different pantheons, AI already knows all this stuff. It ain't no secret. Like I say, Zechariah Sitchin wrote like 15 books about this stuff. Billy Carson been talking about it for the last 10 years or so. Paul Wallace was an archdeacon in the Anglican Church for 33 years. He talked about this a lot. There's several people out here talking about it. The only difference is I haven't heard a lot of them go into the side-by-side comparison between the Bible, the Lost Book, and the Emerald Tablets to connect the dots quite exactly the same way. There's like Carson is kind of focused on the Anunnaki end of it from the space, like spaceship ET aspect of it. Paul Wallace is looking at the more along the paleo contact stuff that shows up in the Bible per se. But I'm not an expert on any of this, but I've read all of their material and look at a lot of their material. Well, I haven't read all their material, but I read several of each of them's works and am able to link the bridge, connect the dots in a slightly unique way. But nothing that I'm saying is new. Rudolf Steiner said 100 years ago, Rudolf Steiner said that the Lord and the Lord God in Genesis chapter 2 was two separate individuals 100 years ago. Myra Hermoso, you absolutely can ask a question, my love. Weston, you so wrong. You said you said like 32. Will Nelson still plan to call back? Oh no, we're not doing no tarot questions, Myra. Come on now. I thought you were gonna ask a spiritual question, and you asking me some. I have no idea. I have no idea. And honestly, you asking a question about is a man gonna call you back? If he wanted to, he will. If a man genuinely wants you, you won't have to ask a tarot reader, do he want you? You'll know. And if you gotta ask a tarot reader, the chances are, I'm not saying he don't like you, but honestly, a lot of times, especially as women, we chase after men that we think we want, and we can get their attention. And if depending on how loose you're willing to be with him, you might even get to have a little fun. But that still don't mean you're gonna make him want you. You're worth more than that. Stop pining after somebody that ain't just as hot for you as you are for them. Okay? That's my advice to you as an auntie, not a tarot reader, as an auntie. Been there, done that, got 2 t-shirts and a trophy. If he wanted to, especially if he's a grown man, oh, trust me, if he wants you, you won't have to wonder. Okay? The rapture, David Perkins, I got some thoughts on the rapture. Hold on. You leaving, Miss Pretty Lady? Have a good evening. Oh, I didn't even see it, Weston, but that's okay. Hey, Gloria. As far as the rapture, I think perhaps the idea for that comes from some of the ancient texts when they're talking about different ones being caught up. Enoch was caught up and taken into the heavens. Elijah was taken up. Enoch was taken up. Daniel had a vision with the wheel and all of that. But it also says, I think there's some scripture that talks about in the last days, some would be and some wouldn't be in Revelation. But it's describing the fact that there's a contingent of people according to Revelation now, and I get a lot of Revelation is parable or vision or what have you, but you also have to sometimes kind of look at what's actually there. Regular humans don't really have to worry about a burning hell, but those people that doggedly want to cling to Yahweh, Satan, the devil, it does say that about 1/3 of the population of the planet was going to be destroyed. But there's also, and again, this is just my supposition on it. I realize they tell us a lot of stuff hiding in plain sight, and I've referenced it several times on this channel. There is a movie that came out in 2009 called Knowing with Nicolas Cage. And in that movie, they knew that there was going to be an earth-wide cataclysm that was going to strike Earth. It was going to basically be, it wasn't a nuclear attack, but it was going to be like some kind of a nuclear fireball that was going to happen. I think it was some asteroid or whatever, but it was going to destroy all life on planet Earth. And extraterrestrials knew about it, contacted the governments here on Earth, and let them know that they could not prevent the event from happening, but that they were going to take up a contingent of people. And so that it was mostly children, a few adults to help with them, and they took like soil samples and genetic, like animal and all kinds of samples with them and everything. But they took them up into spaceships so that when this thing came through, that life would be preserved here on Earth. And then once the nuclear fallout and all of that was over and done with, and it was safe to bring them back to Earth, that they would be able to come back. They made a kids movie several years ago too called Wall-E that operated on the same principle, but they was more focused on the fact that people had just gotten lazy because they had been out there in anti-gravity for so long. But when you look at Hollywood spoon feeding us concepts like that, and then you go and read the last part of Revelation where it talks about him coming down with New Jerusalem, shining like a jewel and all the rest of that, that sounds like a base camp for a new earth after the end of this battle and whatever else happens here. There would be human survivors though, but the contingency of those, if there would be a rapture, so to speak, to be had, in my opinion. Now, again, this, I didn't get this from nobody, but I'm just thinking about what's in the scriptures and what Hollywood is showing us, and understanding that they show us things, everything they show us is for a reason. The way to tell who could be salvaged in a situation like that, or who would be selected to be taken up in a scenario like that. Because here's the thing, the Anunnaki said, after, right at the time of the flood, they said that before two more shars had passed, which a shar is 3,600 years, so within 7,200 years after the flood, that another cataclysm would be coming, and humans would be spared, that they would see to it that humanity was not destroyed by flood again. They knew that the next cataclysm, it would be by fire, but Lord Enki and now the rest of the 32 and the dweller are committed to salvaging humanity and or helping us expand our consciousness until we can attain immortality. So that being the case, how would they determine who would be able to be salvaged or taken up in these ships to preserve us through that cataclysm? Those who were able to awaken enough to turn off their worship gene and accept the truth. Our intelligence, our ability to awaken and ascend will be the thing that sets us apart from other people and will be able to mark us for survival, so that we could be taken up. If there's a rapture to be had, that's what it's going to be, that they would decide to take up those who are able and awake enough mentally to understand what was happening and survive that, and then come back down and be builders of new earth when that cataclysm is over with. No, it's Nazoth, the corruptor. It really isn't the right place to ask for relationship advice. I do read tarot, but I'm not doing tarot tonight. That would be tomorrow morning. I think I'm gonna come on and do some tarot, or they can email me, like Unique said, at Modern Mystic Messages, and arrange for a private reading if they'd like. Weston, they wanted a woman in the White House. Why? I don't know, because she wasn't about nothing, but yeah. And again, it's the Abrahamic religions that tell you that women can't teach. You won't find that in Enkiite philosophies. There's plenty of Buddhist monks and priests and stuff that are women in the Enkiite philosophies. We can do whatever we want to, Bonnie. We're powerful creators. Yeshua said, did I not tell you ye are gods? Exactly. Women don't teach because Yahweh said, I'm not going to call him no big G, capital G God, because he's not none of that. Yahweh said that women can't teach, pray, or prophesy within the synagogue or within the Christian congregation, but I'm not a Christian and I'm not a Jew. So I can teach teach all I want to, and those who want to listen can listen. Those who don't, if they want to get so caught up in the fact that I'm a woman that they can't hear me, they can kick rocks and keep it moving. John, somebody need to teach you though, boo boo, because you stuck in ignorance. Again, I'm not here teaching Christianity if you hadn't noticed that part. I'm not trying to stay stuck in that mess. Humanity been stuck in that for 2,500 years. I'm here to help liberate people from it. And if you're not one of the ones that wants your mind freed, keep scrolling, brother. That's all you got to do. But you stuck in some antiquated nonsense that eventually gonna get you gonna either die in ignorance and get recycled back through here, or you'll be unalive. You'll be on Team Yahweh. That's the cool part about it. Anybody that want to stay stuck on Team Yahweh gets an opportunity to go down with him. Honestly, Weston, I ain't gonna pull too many. Well, sometimes I do, cause and again, when I speak the way I do, I'm passionate about what I say because I do understand how hard it is to undo the programming. But when it come down to relationship questions and stuff, I speak the way I do because I came from the school of hard knocks, made a whole lot of bad decisions, got stories I could tell you that I really don't even want to tell you because I've been there, like I said, been there, done that. I'm not saying I'm better than nobody, but at 57, I've been around enough and done enough of that stuff to understand what doesn't work. So I tell, especially younger people, I try to give them the real, like I wish somebody had gave it to me. Yeah. Because it's a whole lot of foolishness happening out here in this day and age that they could just short circuit themselves to a couple of 3 decades of bad relationship drama and bad credit and broken hearts and a whole lot of stuff if they would just, yeah. And I get it, to some degree they're going to do that stuff anyway because that's part of their karmic cycles and lessons. But if I give them the right tools so that they can identify it earlier, they don't have to keep looping that lesson as long. Oh, cool, Weston. I'm in Georgia currently. Interesting. Well, at least you ain't stuck on no sexist stuff. You don't have an issue with working for women. Because some people are so sexist they can't even work for a woman. And I'm like, how you stay that ignorant in 2025? I have no idea. But it's some of them out there still like that, you know? It is what it is. But hey, that's what the Abrahamic religions will do for you. It's amazing to me that they stuck on that cutting women. Oh Lord, you say you falling hard for each other. She's an attorney and you're a ranch manager. I'll be here for the reading whenever you get. Look, I ain't saying don't do it, but please make sure that you get your money right or get your contract straight first so that your money stays straight regardless of what happened. Because this day and time, it's hard moving from uprooting your life to move from place to place. And then when the romance get funky, and again, I ain't trying to be funny, but I am a black woman and I know how we act. Just make sure you got your get in it right first. Hey Stephen, I'm good. How are you? Yeah, David, on when I am spiritual. Honestly, some of these people, Miss Unique, they probably, it ain't that they don't love their mothers. I honestly suspect that most of the guys that are acting like that and talking like that have probably been raised by very damaged single mothers, bitter females. Like honestly. Oh, good, Stephen. I'm glad. Okay. Long as you got a plan, Weston. That's all I say. Long as you got a plan. What's my teaching method, Diane? Sitting here just talking to people, because ain't no point me preaching at nobody. We have conversations. It'll stick with them a lot longer than preaching and hollering at them. Weston, baby, I hate to be the one well, you may or may not know, but Christians, period, are practicing witchcraft and they don't even know. Every single holy day they got is a pagan ritual, every one of them. And that big one, the Easter celebration, the whole that hinges the whole thing of their Christianity, that is a blood curse. That is a curse on Yeshua. And that whole Last Supper and the Easter rites with the drinking of the blood and the eating of the flesh and all of that, that's a high witchcraft. And even their daily prayers, praying to Jehovah in Jesus name, amen, is a binding spell. All of it's witchcraft in Christianity. You see, the hanging of the lights in Jeremiah, it told them, do not be like the pagan nations hanging the silver bells from the trees and the da 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 da. And what do? The Christmas tree lights. Absolutely. They are following Satan and they don't even know. Like I said, Yahweh Jehovah, his other name is Satan of the Eden. And when I get on here and try to tell them that, they cuss me out and tell me they're going to pray for me and I'm demonic and everything else. But it's right there in their book. They just don't know what they're looking at because they're too busy listening to the preacher doing all that genuflecting and rhyme scheming and hopping up their emotions instead of actually reading their Bibles for understanding. Hi, Queen Elizabeth Izugo. How are you? Or Eziogu, sorry. Yep. I'm just glad that there are other people out there, like I said, that can see. I get it that a lot of them won't see and understand this. But look at how many people I've been able to reach and impact already. At one point, when I was really consistent, now tarot what got me into the algorithm, and I am gonna get back out there uh, real shortly here soon. But I was getting people, and I'm still getting people from all around the world. So if I can reach one or two people in this country, and one or two people on this country, and one or two people on this country, I don't have to reach everybody because they know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, and the word is getting out there, and that's all I could ask for. I can't ask for no more than that. I ain't mad at her though. Honestly, that's what she need to do. Trade the Gucci bags for the overalls. Because here's the thing: there is no more job security nowhere no more. Period. So if she's an attorney, she probably gonna want to keep one foot in both worlds for a little bit. But if who knows if she was a good attorney and put in enough time and invested wisely and whatever else, she might be ready to do her thing. Because now with the advent of digital marketing and social media and all the rest of that, there's so many ways that she can do her own thing. If she's got, oh yeah, say less, she good. And like you say, if she decided to turn on a camera and do that, a black woman choosing a country life and farming and in oil, all she really got to do is turn on a video camera and YouTube will pay her. There's a lot of different stuff that she could do. That's Stephen. That's all I can ask for. I mean, yeah, I do well, like I said, the tarot thing is what's going to actually get me paid. Which, by the way, y'all, anybody that's interested, I'm not sure exactly when I'm going to get it set up. I got to figure out what I'm going to call it, but I am going to be starting another channel that's more focused, like primarily just focused on tarot. I'll let y'all know when I get that launched, because I won't be able to live stream until I get to 50 subscribers. So I'm definitely going to be appealing to some of y'all, or at least help me get to that point so I can live stream there. I wanted to keep them together, but for the purpose of me being able to feed myself and pay my bills, I think I am going to have to create a more commercially tarot focused channel. I won't stop doing this because this is the important work, what we're doing here. That's the important thing, but that's not going to, I mean, yeah, I do get a few people here and there that buy me a coffee and all that stuff, but the vast majority of where real income would come from would be tarot. So I'm gonna just have to do what I gotta do. Oh, David Owen, yeah, I read tarot. I don't know if you like it or don't like it, but they tell me I'm kind of nice. You know, when my clairaudience kicked in, I was led to tarot for my own healing. And yeah, once I finally realized I just started got a wild hair and started buying tarot cards. And then I realized, oh, maybe I'm supposed to be reading for other people too. Yeah. Weston, she ain't got to do that, but hey, ain't nothing wrong with it, because thanks to the internet, we meet people. Our chances of meeting the right person are better. I'm not sure what you talking about, Jay, because part of my message, again, Yeshua has prompted me to speak, to continue his ministry, whether I get paid for that or not. They didn't pay him for that either. They unalived him for speaking the truth. I do at least stand a better chance of not being unalived, because I live in a country where I still have freedom of speech for the time being anyway. But I have to do what Yeshua has prompted me to do. But tarot is a more lucrative thing, but I don't want to do just one or the other, because I'm being prompted by spirit to speak the truth about this aspect of truth if it don't never pay me a dime. But I'm a good tarot reader as well, and I know people will pay for that, so I can you talking about why don't I make a change? I just said I am going to make a change. I'm not choosing to be broke. I'm just going to have to split my interest in a way that I can monetize the one that can be monetized. But that don't mean I'm going to stop doing what Yeshua told me to do, because ultimately that's a way to really stay broke. Just like old boy Jonah didn't want to go to Nineveh, but guess where he wound up at? Ass tossed right up there in Nineveh. So I'm gonna follow what my guides tell me to do, not somebody that want to jump on a live stream and just don't have a clue what you're talking about. But okay, Jay, unique. Jay don't know how much some of these tarot readers make out here. That's what that is. He have no idea. Some of them really get paid, like for real, real get paid. Here's the thing. They said why do Christians so dependent on a man who was sent by God and yet want to keep hastening his second coming? They want they think they want his second coming, must be. They don't understand. He already told them many would say to him, Lord, Lord, didn't we preach in your name and prophesy in your name and expel demons in your name? And yet I'd say to you, I never knew you. Get away from me, you workers of evil, or you workers of lawlessness. Christians don't understand that they're not doing the right thing because they've been bamboozled and lied to. They think that they're looking for the second coming of Christ, but they don't even understand if he were to come back physically right this second. He has come back. He's here. He's just not here physically. And they're still not listening because he does have people like me and plenty of others that are speaking his truth, that are continuing with his message, and they still not listening and clowning. So they asking for his second coming. His second coming is here, and they still missing the point, like he said they would. I actually might, because I make candles, but I was thinking about just getting some and just doing Reiki and like infusing Reiki with them. Instead, I don't know. You can hit me up at some other place. Email me, Weston, at modernmysticmessages@gmail.com, and we might be able to. Um, and honestly, I probably will start some kind of a mentorship or coaching program, like offer maybe like 4 sessions or a monthly, whatever, some kind of service to where maybe do a personal reading and 3 coaching sessions for a package deal or something like that. I got to figure that part out yet. I'm going to be, Antoine, I'm going to be successful, but like I said, I just had to figure out what I had to do. Yeah, they do. And I do work with crystals and stuff. I am Reiki certified through the 3rd level. These hands are active. I'm a moon mama, so I do go out there and I know how to charge stones like clear stones and charge them under the sun and set intentions and stuff like that. So I thought about doing a line of like Reiki infused candles, go out and um, meditate with the stones under the moonlight and then pour the candles after the full moon and things like that. Make tarot infused jewelry and stuff. Well, honestly, Weston, there's all kinds of readers on YouTube, and some of them people are at different stages of their journey. There's some that are out there that are focused on, all of the trauma and drama and the karmic stuff. There's some that are focused more on folks that are a little further along in their spiritual journey, the chosen and whatever. They're different kinds. I'm thankful that most of the folks that I'm reading for are at a pretty good point in their spiritual journey. They're not really super focused on a whole lot of karmic stuff yet. I see some, we've all got a little work to do, but it's not a huge focus of most of my readings. It's about our personal enlightenment and leveling up and where we're at in that stage of the game. Yeah. Well, I'm sorry for them in the UK, Stephen, and I'm not speaking out against the system specifically. I'm speaking out against the whole system. But there's nothing that I'm saying you won't never catch me telling a lie. And in the United States, as of right now, I do have freedom of speech. So if I'm telling the truth and I'm not being violently evasive against the government, I'm speaking out against religions because they have lied to people overall. I'm not picking apart anyone. I'm talking about the Abrahamic religions in a whole. And I have a right to do that because I'm not lying. Everything that I'm saying can be backed up by facts, by stuff that the government's done paid people to go dig up out the ground and translate. So if somebody don't like that, I don't know what to tell them. Oh, well, Weston, here's the thing. Them real karmic tarot readers, I think they do have the life experience to read from exactly what they're reading for. They went through a lot of trauma and drama, and I've been through a lot of trauma and drama too, but if you haven't healed from it, spirit can only filter through the lens of where you're at as a person, period. Why do you think when the Mormons came along, Joseph Smith supposedly was a prophet, but all he could see was that black people are supposed to be a slave race, and that if men give up earthly pleasures on this earth on this go around, when they get to heaven, they gonna get a whole planet full of virgins. That's some sick, twisted, off the wall nonsense. But that's what he came up with from where he was at spiritually and got millions of people to believe him. Spirit can only flow through the lens of the person that receives. He receives something, but his interpretation was off as hell because he was off as hell. But people will believe it, so that's what it is. Hey, butterfly babe, good to see you. Oh, I appreciate you, Niana. Like I said, I really, really. It is, Bonnie, you're right. What I'm doing right now is harder than tarot because yeah, you still get hecklers and stuff, but I've seen a lot of them girls, and especially if I was willing to come out here and wear a low cut blouse, show a little cleavage, and let my mouth be loose and cuss all I want to, I'd make a bajillion dollars. Because trust me, I used to work as a cocktail waitress, and yeah, I'm a fat chick, but I still got enough. I know how to work a room and all of that. I choose not to dress that way anymore, but I know how to do that, and I could spin the right kind of tarot stories to make, but I don't want to do those. I'm still gonna stay true to the type of reader I've been called to be, but I will always make more money in tarot than that. This is harder than tarot because people just gonna come at me because they don't want to hear it. They're not ready to hear the truth. Hey, Paul Snowcloud, welcome in, welcome in. Hey, Dr. Jonathan, welcome. Oh, butterfly babe. Yeah, I think a lot of us are being called to open Reiki. And honestly, I still have a lot more studying to do too, because in the United States, basically getting certified in Reiki is like a weekend process. You get attuned for it. But to actually study, I'm hoping when I get to Japan, I will actually be able to find a Reiki master that speaks English and is willing to take me in. I really want to study from where it came from. I really look forward to that. You say you got cussed out because you said you liked her hair. Oh my goodness. Unique, that's crazy. See, I can't be that way. Nah. But you know what? Some of them probably triggered because they do have, like I said, a lot of trolls come in. And again, I said it before, and I'm not trying to talk bad about nobody. Unique is a reader. I'm a reader, but there are different types of readers. And you can tell by somebody's energy where they're at. And I've had collectives that I've been into in the tarot community that I may have shown up on their channel. Spirit led me there. I got a few messages or whatever, and then it didn't quite feel right to me or whatever, and then I'm led away. I got the messages that I was meant to get, and then it no longer resonates with me, and I'm led away. When I come back to their channel, sometimes if I do, some of them it be you can tell when they're not maintaining their spiritual energy. They're not doing their cleansing work. They're not doing any kind of personal spiritual work, or they're going through a lot of stuff in their personal life. And I'm not saying they're not trying to do some spiritual work, but if they're not focused right and they still got trauma and drama around their personal life, and they're reading a whole bunch of trauma and drama and karma and stuff from the collective that they've drawn, because if that's what's going on in their life, that's the collective they're going to draw if that's where they was at when they first started reading. Most readers are drawn to tarot in their own healing journey. So when you hear a reader that's reading all of that trauma and drama and spell work and demons and all of that stuff, they they've lived that. They walked through that. And if they're not real careful, their walk will pull them right back into that. And after a while, they get fried spiritually because they're not tending their energy. They're not continuing to ascend. There's a reader that I love very much, and I think she's very close to a breakthrough, but she kept saying she was reading a lot of that stuff, and some of her stuff really did resonate more than I wanted it to for a while when I was getting messages about some of the karmics that were around me. It was one of them in particular was actually doing spell work, and she was able to see the complete scenario. But after I had heard that for a while and I done got the message and did what I needed to do and got that person out of my life, I really didn't want to keep hearing that. So I peeled away for a while. She wound up taking a break for like 3 or 4 months, and she came back and said she was going to change up her reading style and she does have more upbeat messages than she used to, but I still hear her going back into that same kind of preachy attitude because her collective is still stuck there. So she's still seeing that energy. They're not doing the spiritual work. And she wants to do a different type of reading now because she has worked on herself, but she still got the same collective. It's still stuck in that unforgiveness. I don't want this and I can't that. There, she's stuck. She truthfully gonna probably have to start another channel or just force the issue and start redirecting her people by teaching more instead of catering to that nonsense. She fussed at them some and kind of try to redirect them, but she still winds up getting kind of sucked back into it instead of moving forward into more positivity. I remember your name, Butterfly Babe. Good, good, good. Do stay on the lookout. I don't know exactly what kind of package I'm going to put together. I've got a coaching certification I need to go on and finish just because I know people like certifications. It honestly don't even matter because either you got the ability to or not, and people don't even know there's like, but they do like the idea that you have a certification. So I thought about doing that and going ahead and offer some coaching after that. Hey, Paul Snowcloud. Hey, Robin, did you get your reading, my love? I emailed it to you. You said, is there a crystal or a stone that doesn't need charging? In my opinion, anytime you get a new crystal, in my humble opinion, I would at a minimum bury it in salt for at least 3 days to clear it. You don't know who been handling them stones and what they had on their mind or where their energy was at. Before you start working with any stone, I would recommend burying it in salt to clear it and then setting your intention with it. And if it's a moon-based stone, you can charge it in the moon. If it's a sun-based stone, you can put it out in sunlight to clear it and charge it. But that's just me. I just feel like all stones should be cleared and charged one way or the other. And from time to time, you could do that to clear their energy. Like I got selenite here, and my energy stayed pretty even here, so I haven't had to put this in the sun recently. But I mean, I got a ton of selenite, right? It's super cheap, but if I had a lot of negativity going in my house or even on my tarot table, I put it here to clear the energy because it will absorb pretty much anything. I got a lot of selenite in the house. But if I were reading a lot of really negative energies and whatnot, from time to time, I would take this and put it out in the sun to clear it. Because if you don't, eventually it'll crack. If it absorbs enough negative energy, it'll crack. Any of your crystals can. So that's why I say I would recommend just being kind to them, realize that they do absorb energy, and from time to time they need to be reset. Got a hair or something. I'm not trying to get in my eye. You say you stopped what? You used to read, Robin? Oh, awesome, Weston. All right, Paul Snowcloud, nice to meet you too. Hopefully you'll get a chance to join us some other evenings. Have a wonderful evening. Take care. Yeah, and I understand what you're saying, Antoine, but it's like, for example, I'm certified in Reiki, supposedly, but if I wanted to have a brick and mortar Reiki practice, like in Florida, I would have to also get certified as a massage therapist because that's just the way the law is in Florida. In order for me to actually advertise myself as a hands-on Reiki practitioner in Florida, which I'm just know that because I'm from Florida and was thinking about going back there. I don't know what it is in Georgia, but I would have to have a physical massage therapy certification to go with the Reiki certification. Fortunately, I don't want to put hands on people. I do want to get a massage therapy certification, maybe Thai massage or something to use later on as part of my spiritual practice, but I don't want to be a practicing massage therapist because I don't want to be putting my hands on just random strangers like that. Um, but as a Reiki practitioner doing distance Reiki or just infusing Reiki into inanimate objects, I can do that without, having to have the massage therapy. Honestly, Unique, I'm the same way. I still have their subscriptions on my channel, but the more I work for this channel, I don't have time to sit around and read and watch other tarot readers all the time. I've got one or two, like you said, that I just check in and whatever. And even then, I'll look at the titles. If it don't really jump off the page or feel like it applies to me, I keep it moving. Hey, bro, 100. Happy Monday to you too. I know that's right, Bonnie Myers. Honestly, that's one of the reasons. Like I said, I had to realize because once I started healing and becoming more balanced, and because I've been a hermit for so long, I'm super sensitive to energies. So I have to find a lane that I'm comfortable with. And like you said, thus far, I enjoy reading tarot for others because the energy of the group that I've attracted is really cool. I don't get a whole lot of drama and trauma and karma and all of that other stuff. Most of the folks that I deal with are on their Dharma path or right on the edge of it. They are at some point towards the ascension end of their spiritual journey. They're not still stuck in just barely sorting it out. So I enjoy reading for those kinds of folks, and I can read tarot for them without getting caught up in trying to read individuals' energies and stuff. So yeah, that's a very comfortable lane for me. I was concerned about it because I saw so much trauma and drama in the tarot community, but fortunately, my energy was a little calmer than that before I started reading for other people. So the soul family that I'm drawing in is at a different place than if I had picked up a deck of tarot cards back. If I had decided to read in 2020, back when I first picked up tarot for myself, I'd be stuck reading for people that were stuck in that kind of energy. And yeah, I'm grateful that I waited, honestly. Hey, Clayton, glad to have you back. Oh, okay, Robin. No worries. Oh, Lord, you and Antoine having a separate conversation, Weston, I see. Hey, Imran, you said, what is the philosophy behind this? All things, you don't understand one thing, that everyone is, you don't understand that everyone is trying to sell something, then you don't understand the philosophy of life, Imran. Everybody on this planet is selling something. If you ain't selling something, you're being sold something. The biggest pyramid scheme on this planet is the American workforce. You didn't know? So when in the online space, if I'm coming out here and I've literally spent 15 years between meditation and learning and clearing my life away and clearing my energy and all of those things. I've spent hundreds of dollars on learning, Reiki and all of those things that I've invested in making myself a better person and sharing that energy with other people. Why would it be inappropriate for me to offer something of value to people to support myself, something that is related to the line of spiritual work that I do? I don't understand why people think that's not appropriate. People come on in the live streams and clown people for selling things or calling us scammers and all the rest of that because we're offering a service. And yet, if you keep scrolling in the live stream, you'll come across people that are literally donating $100 to somebody that's sitting around selling Pokemon cards. You'll see people that's sitting up there donating in the chat. The people are just writing their names on a poster paper in calligraphy print, scratching off lottery tickets, eating soap and clay and arrowroot powder and stuff, doing trick shots sitting off of their stairs. And if people don't have a problem with donating for those kinds of causes, why in the world would anybody think that it's something wrong with a spiritual teacher being compensated for sharing their spiritual gifts? My time ain't free neither. If the person doing trick shots off their stairs can get paid, why shouldn't I get paid if I'm sitting up here spending part of my 24 hours a day to teach people? And what I do is harder than that. I'm not setting up trick shots, but I got to go and buy these books and read them and figure them out and meditate on them and go out and clear my energy and then come in and sit down and then sit on a live stream for 3 or 4 hours and all the rest of that. And you don't think that's my time ain't worth nothing? I'm just asking the question, Imran. Your time is worth something. Why ain't mine? You don't go to your job and work for free. The universal law of compensation says that if I give something for value, that I am supposed to be compensated for it. Just because it ain't something of value off of a time clock making some fat cat up in the corporate office rich, don't mean it's not of any actual value. I will, Butterfly Babe. I just had to find out what Imran was talking about over there because I get tired of people coming in and start clowning as if, like I said, people will pay $2,000 for Beyonce concert tickets so that they can go and be harvested literally from energy vampires. They'll pay for that, but then act like it's wrong for me to expect to get anything at all for what I do. Hey, Nina, how are you? No, I'm not married yet, Clayton. My boo thing is in another country, and we both had money issues. Hopefully, by the end of this year, we'll get together, but it still will be next year before we actually get married, most likely. They should be able to. Shoot, they got the real education. You said Lord Enki only requires our cooperation. Respect, yeah, and cooperation, yeah. He doesn't require worship, though. Think about the Enkiite philosophies. Buddhism is not a religion. It's a way of being. Taoism is not a religion. I mean, yeah, Hinduism is kind of sort of, but it's still not as, as regimented or as hellfire and damnation as the Abrahamic religions. Yeah, Stephen, Yeshua was a healer. Most likely he studied Reiki. I'm pretty sure he studied herbal medicine and stuff, all of that. Yeah. In the I'm trying now. I did that with my hand, y'all. I'm so sorry. Ugh, this tripod is jacked up. Bear with me. Trying to fix it. Ugh. The mind. I don't know where the mind is located exactly, Stephen Hill. The mind is not a tangible thing. The brain is inside the head, inside the skull, but the mind, who knows where the mind is? Hey, Clayton, welcome back. Trying to see what else. I didn't even see Williams Lair in here. Wait a minute. I'm missing something here. I ain't even see it, Niana. I'll go and check later on. To some degree, Bonnie. Sometimes I think Spirit sets up stuff anyway for us. You said what kind of salt, Niana? I'm not sure. I didn't see a question about salt, but I'm assuming either sea salt or Himalayan would be good. Oh, to bury them in, just regular salt, whatever you got. It don't matter. I mean, I use sea salt. I use like dead sea salt primarily, but if you got like rock salt, and truthfully, you're not eating it, and even in stones, even if you had iodized salt, it's not gonna hurt anything, so it doesn't matter. Salt. Wait a minute. You said you waiting to pounce on Christians as an atheist to help validate their persecution complex. Stop. You said they're selling gamer girl bathwater. Oh Lord, I ain't seen that one yet. I have not seen that one yet. I actually need to make myself some. I call it loaded soap, but it starts with liquid black soap from Ghana, and I add several other herbs in it. And the only water that I add into it is the liquid soap, but I take it back to like a paste. It makes a cleansing paste that's really good for the face, the body. You can clean anything in the body. Most of the ingredients, well, except the soap, of course, are actually food grade, but they're also very good for the skin. So that's something that I actually do that actually has value. But if I put a Reiki infused crystal and drop that in there with it as well, did a little Reiki over it before I send them out, that might be something that somebody might want. I don't think I'm gonna be selling no bath water though. Lord have mercy. That's crazy. What, concrete jeans so they look like they work hard? That's crazy. Oh, Williams Laird, that's cool. I still ain't seen your message though. I'm trying to figure out where you at. I'm glad it resonated. Yeah, so I just really got to get on my marketing thing. Yeah. So I can, because I used to make waist beads, and I mean, I made the fake ones, but I even thought about doing like a line of the waist beads made from real stones, but put like an actual jewelry clasp on them so that they could be taken on and off like a belt, and selling those. Do Reiki over the stones, charge those and whatever, and doing them like that. There's all kinds of stuff I've thought about doing, but I need to hurry up and stop thinking and do it. Everybody making money, so I don't know why. Like I said, you go online, and truthfully, The workplace, like I said, there's no job security anywhere. So people are moving to a more online spaces anyway, vlogging and things like that. Because honestly, when I get to a point where I can move out, like I said, when I move out the country, when I go to Japan, I'm going to turn on a camera. We're going to be vlogging sacred spaces around the country. If I start vlogging different sacred spaces and the food in the areas around there, I believe that's something that could be easily monetizable through social media, either TikTok or here, you know. There's plenty of other food vloggers and stuff out there, so why not? And yeah. You said I named what now? Good idea. Oh, honestly, butterfly, I would have been done them, except I ran out of money from the like when I got laid off. I didn't have enough in savings, and I ran out of money. I was too busy pinching out of it to live, and should have focused on getting the stuff together that I needed to. I've even thought about doing some ASMR channels or faceless channels where I start doing story time. Somebody would like the way that I shuffle cards. I even thought about doing like I don't know, maybe 18 plus ASMR tarot readings, you know, or ASMR adult bedtime stories. When I say adult, not talking about dirty, but I mean just grown folk like story time stuff, that kind of thing. Oh, I would be in Okinawa. My son is a sergeant in the Air Force, and he's been over there for about 3 years now. I think he's got another year or two to go, and he and his wife wanted me to come and move to Okinawa with him, and I would absolutely adore that. You said you can do more for China over here, though, teaching people not to bite the hand of the factory that builds your stuff. Right, exactly that part. Honestly, you know what gets me though? It ain't even people make me so upset. Say what? Ideas for services? And that's what I was thinking about, Butterfly Babe. I mean, if I get consistent enough with the channel to where I'm consistently getting good viewership on the videos, which my live streams, of course, touch a lot more lives than or eyes than my uploads. But if I can get to where I'm consistently getting higher viewership on my uploads, and with the tarot, that will be easier to do. At that point, I can do a lot of stuff with marketing. But you sitting there saying that you people having biting the hand that builds your stuff. Honestly, people don't even understand. I was talking to somebody about that the other day. Hold on, y'all. I gotta do my thing with the. Let's see if this will work here because I need to charge this. Okay. Um, but it irritated me because, for example, we were talking about phones. How literally an iPhone costs less than $20 to make, but they charge us like $1,200 for an iPhone. And part of that though, that's America's fault. Apple only played towards our bouginess and greed because here's the thing: in China and Japan, most of the electronics are made by a few houses. The components for those phones are made in some of the same places. A Huawei phone only costs about $150 retail. An iPhone costs $1,200 retail, but if you show up somewhere with a Huawei phone, people gonna laugh you out the door in America because they bougie as hell. That's why Americans shoot themselves in the foot with that wannabe high and mighty falutin, keeping up with the Joneses bougie attitude. Look at the even when we come down to the Lexus line, luxury, was it what do they call it? Luxury something US. Yeah. luxury edition, something US. That was just a marketing change. All they did was change the label and basically like Chevy and Cadillac make a little bit plusher interior and charge you 3 times as much for it from Toyota, but we do it to ourselves. Exactly. The clothes are made in the same place. The handbags are made in the same place. The shoes are made in the same place. It used to cost $6 to make a pair of Jordans. It probably costs $15 now. And people wrap around the corner like it's the second coming of Christ to go out there and spend $250 on a brand new pair of Jordans that literally cost $15 to make, but laughed at Shaq because he put reasonably priced shoes, probably made in some of them same factories that make the Jordans. But Shaq was only charging $20 for his shoes so that poor folks' kids could have decent shoes without going broke to do them. And kids get bullied in school for wearing Shaqs. I'll be damned if I pay $500 for a pair of Yeezys and they look like something off of a post-apocalyptic trash pile. No, sir. Sorry. It is greed. That's one of the reasons, one of the visions that I've been given, Unique, is that crowdfunding thing. I've mentioned it several times that when I get a big enough following, I want to start a foundation that's going to be funded through crowdfunding. And I want to start a giving channel for real. Like we see, there's several of them on YouTube already, but I want to do a version of that. But there's a bigger project that I have in mind that I want to do through crowdfunding, but it basically is a combination of kind of angel investing, but it's focused on teaching spirituality, yes, but also teaching compassionate capitalism, that you can win by treating people fairly and doing it right, and that when you help people achieve their dreams, that it's a win-win-win all the way around, and teaching them to pay it forward. There's a lot of different components to it that I would like to bring in there that would basically hopefully create kind of a blueprint that would eventually help people move forward into less greed and more of our brother's keeper, but everybody being able to get paid, not just the fat cat sitting at the top of the pile. You said comparing how Shaq and Jordan shoes are, you just gave the confirmation that you was teaching your kids something they needed to hear. Awesome. I'm glad. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Child, I think sometimes spirit be sending stuff out there. The unified field, the information be out there. If you cloud surfing and can catch the info, because the ideas will pop up kind of in real time. But yeah, oh man, hold on, I got it. My battery is going low here. I might have to, if I can get this thing. Sugar booger. I may have to plug in old school. My phone that got too hot for me to use the MagSafe charger. It's not wanting to kick in. Hold on. What in the? Oh, now I want to kick in. Yeah, it was just too hot. All right, I'm back. So sorry about that. Honestly, Weston, there is a project that I need to get under wraps, and truthfully, like I said, I started the fast, like the for real fast again today, and that hopefully, well, ain't no hopefully, on the other side of that, it's not going to just be the 40-day fast. It's truthfully kind of a 100-day challenge. And what I do hope, I may not finish it during the challenge, but I have had in my mind to start a book for a while now. I even got, because I don't know why I want to write it longhand instead of typing it first, but I do. For some reason, I want to write it first and then go back through in the editing when I'm typing it and recollect my thoughts. I don't know. But anyway, I know my spirit team will help me write it, but I think I'm going to work on that as well during this 100-day challenge. To some degree, honestly, they probably the ones that gave us the monetary system to start with, to be honest with you. Most of the things that and again, that's not to say that everything we have is bad. It got corrupted, and the reasons it was given initially, that was probably some Enlil stuff, to be honest with you. But I mean, we do have to have a means to barter things for, so yeah. Yeah, I remember Tupac. I'm like, do I remember Tupac? Anyway. Okay. What about him? Why you deleted him? I wanted to hear what the question was. Oh, snap. You said a preacher called you the devil when you ask about the many mansions promised to us in the Bible. Meanways, 2 days earlier, he was looking for Brazil near Laos and Cambodia. Oh, God. Well, when Yeshua said, in my Father's house there are many abodes, there I go to prepare a place for you, I honestly think that that's because part of it, I believe, goes back to the Gospel of Judas when he was talking about that space and time, or I forgot what the city was called that he showed Judas in vision, but he said it was not for them, it was for folks in a future time, which he could either be talking about the international scope of his ministry, saying that it would be a worldwide thing. It wasn't just for the Jews, it was for a lot of people, or referring to the fact that it would be people coming out of all kinds of nations and, a lot more people, because that 144,000 number is very symbolic. And like I said, that's kind of the ending up of the Anunnaki tale anyway. Yeah, I really feel like that was him saying that it would be more of a global thing, not necessarily compartmentalized in one religion. Honey, if you talking about good, first off, I'm not sure what that question means, Weston, but in Georgia, no, you cannot walk in the woods with no mosquitoes. That's not gonna happen, bro, unless you get to a point where it's after September. Them mosquitoes gonna darn near carry you off. I can't sit on my back porch in the evening for the mosquitoes. Sorry. No, we ain't gotta be no servants. Like I say, I'm an end of the book girl. In Revelation, even in the Christian book, it tell you that servitude thing gonna be over and done with. So you proud to buy at Walmart and being poor? Well, I ain't proud to be poor, but I do know how to do it. How about that? Honestly, I don't know about the O negative blood. I'm AB negative, and I was always that person. I literally went to a funeral in the wood. We were at the cemetery after the service and everything one time years ago, and I knew we were going out to the cemetery that was in the woods, so I didn't wear colognes or no heavy, none of that. Those mosquitoes was so bad on me that 3 women were standing by fanning me just so that I could stay at the graveside. I've always been that person. If anybody in the room gonna get bit, it's me. I don't know. And at the time, I mean, now I could understand it because I'm pre-diabetic, but I wasn't. If anything, I had low blood sugar back then, so I don't know why I was such a hot commodity to them then. But yeah, it's something in my blood that mosquitoes love me, love me. Where's the department with Ben Franklin? Shoot, my kids used to talk about. They said when God said, "Let there be light," I flipped the switch. They said me and Jesus was in the same graduating class. I told them, it's not too late for me to put y'all up for adoption, right? They grown though, so I ain't got to worry about that. But I still used to say that to them because we'd be laughing. They rag me about being old. I'm like, that's all right. You look this good when you get this age. That's all. You say you stop drinking soda water, you drink milk. Oh God, please stop drinking milk like that, please. Please stop drinking so much milk, especially if you have the genetics for diabetes. You will also wind up with the genetics for brittle bones drinking milk like that. Don't do it. Thank you, warrior above, within, without. Don't matter about the lactose. The calcium in cow's milk is not genuinely bioavailable to humans. It's it's cow's milk. It's for baby cows. It actually causes calcium to leach out of our bones. That's why I said, please be careful. I don't know, Rajeswari. Honestly, in my opinion, depending on the people, any two signs can be together. I'm not one to believe in that, like to that level. Um, you wear sandalwood oil. Oh, that's cool, Antoine. I done sat out with citronella and some of everything out there, and they still be. These Georgia mosquitoes ain't nothing to play with. I don't know what they like over there in Texas, but what would you do if when you okay? So he said, yes, would I go? I'm not sure what. You might want to phrase your question, because I don't even know. I'm trying to scroll up and see your previous. If you wrote a previous question, I'm not sure what you're talking about. Squad, whoever you are. Squam man. What would you do if when you okay? So he said yes, would go. That doesn't make sense. I need you to frame that, put the rest of the words in there so I can understand what you're talking about. I don't understand the question. You say you're a baby ox and you be fine born in the Chinese year of the ox. I think I'm a monkey and my partner's a snake, so it actually works out really well. And I'm wood and I think he's water, I think, or I can't remember. So, I didn't know that either, Bonnie Myers, that sandalwood was an insecticide. Honestly, and now this is bad because I like all of the holy woods to a degree, but my roommate loves sandalwood, so he kind of ODs. That's like the only incense he ever buys. So I get tired of the smell of sandalwood, so I usually burn like frankincense and Palo Santo and agarwood and things like that. Sandalwood is like the least favorite of my scents as far as the holy woods, but if it's a good insecticide, I might have to be getting some too. Rajeswari, you were asking some kind of a question about, talking about whether or not Cancer and Leo can be together. I'm a Cancer, but as it turns out, my nemesis, if you will, my karmic soulmate that was doing all of the bad stuff is a Leo, but my partner is a Leo moon, so I would imagine they can be. You said a snake and a monkey. Yeah, I do know that, but I can say I haven't studied like which, because according to them and our sun signs, according to sidereal or whatever it is, astrology, um, I'm a Cancer sun. He's an Aquarius, and typically they claim that that doesn't work well in relationships. But I promise you, we do. We're fine. Oh, you're a dog, unique, and Weston, you are too. Awesome. You said I smell good. I burn those mostly for incense, Bonnie. Sometimes I do wear the oils. Actually, I've been stuck on a lot of the Dubai perfumes lately because I do love like the ouds, and they're a little on the heavier, muskier side. Not musky, truly, but they are a little on the heavier side. But it's fine. I like them anyway. But I love them, and they're such a good bargain. Well, it depends on, I guess, which houses you get, but I've been pretty fortunate so far. Lavender oil is supposed to be good for the skin and stuff, but I have to mix that with something else. It's something about lavender oil that takes me to a place back. It's some kind of a childhood memory it's a trigger for me. I can't do just plain lavender oil. I think it goes back. Mama used to have some kind of nasty room spray, and it didn't really smell like pure lavender. Real lavender does smell pretty good, but it was just enough lavender in whatever that air freshener was, and it used to literally make me sick to my stomach. But yeah, Roger Suarez, but it's a negative nostalgia for me, so I have to mix it with something else. But as far as the oils, I should wear more just plain oils. But like I said, I got kind of tripped up in the Dubai perfumes. One of my favorite ones. Now this, y'all, I'm gonna have to tell you, if you ever get a chance, this one right here, it's on Amazon. It is a copy of Baccarat Rouge 540, but where Baccarat is like $350 a bottle, this is like 17, and it, of course, it doesn't last as long as Baccarat, but it's really, really nice. If you get an opportunity, it's made by Maison. Yeah, that's one of my favorite ones. But yeah, I honestly, I wind up checking them out on I look for the reviews and stuff for what I'm looking for, but I've tried several off of Amazon. And like I said, the only one that I messed up on, and truthfully it wasn't a mess up, and it wasn't even a Dubai perfume. I bought that Choco Love or Choco something. It was supposed to be like a chocolate amber type scent, but it's such a cloyingly, heavily, sickly sweet chocolate smell that I can't wear it. Aura Crisp Flower. Awesome. I'm trying to see. I have another. I said I'm sitting around. I got colognes everywhere. This one is Opulent Oud. I'm trying to see what house makes this one. Oh, I can't see the name. Starts with an L, but it's too fine for me to make it out. But yeah, like I said, I like the Oud. Now, honestly, Antoine, the reason I never tried that is I don't know, I have tried, like, even just me using lemon juice for other things. I didn't rub it directly on my skin, but I'm very photo responsive to using lemon products and getting splotchy skin, so I didn't try it with the lime because I was afraid that I would get a photoreactive result from going out in sunlight with lime on the skin. I didn't know that. Will it work against humans? Now, I do use lime juice for deodorant, lemon juice and lime juice. Awesome. And that's something else. If you out in the summertime, I know they done trick people with that daggone salt rock thing. That'll have you funky as I don't know what. Gross. But a little lemon juice or a little lime juice and you good to go. I'm trying to tell you. Oh, y'all, it's 10:30. It's time for us to get up off of here. We done start talking about some of everything now. I am going to get off of here. I got to look for, I forgot. Let me see. There's one reading I got to do another reading for. And then Antoine's reading, and then you're welcome. You are so very welcome. It is my pleasure. I also am going to be working on getting the book of Enoch out, as well as the next chapter in the 12th planet. Now, obviously, I'm probably not going to get all that done in one day. And again, I'm not sure if I'm going to be live streaming tomorrow evening because I'm going to try to get on earlier in the day for some tarot, but we'll see. You said only if you cut them with... Oh. Yeah, it is. It's getting to be that time. Thank you so much for joining me, everyone. Thank you to all the mods as well. I love you, love you, love you. Peace and blessings to you. Until next time, namaste.